feet. These guys are 12. These guys are 5, 10, 12.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final of the Iron Gauntlet Masters here at Cancon for 2015. My name is Trent Dennison, and I have with me Benjamin Leaper. Say hello, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
That's some great early humour from the Leaps.
It is early in the morning, so we'll work with what we've got.
So we have selected the game today as we've got two games today. This is the first. This is the semi-final. We've got Simon Hall, also known as Nipples, and he's elected to play Grissel1. And we've got Tom Guan, the international Asian sensation superstar.
Man of mystery, Tommy G.
And he is playing Goreshade3. So we've got the list here. We'll go through them in a minute. Boys are just about to start their deployment on the clock.
How much time do we have for these final rounds at 75 points, Trent?
It's 72 minutes per player.
Deployment on the clock?
It is indeed.
Excellent stuff.
So this is an interesting matchup between Simon and Tom. Simon's only been playing Trolls for a few months, and he's had some obvious success. I mean, he's made it through to the Iron Gauntlet finals, the top 4 players in Australia, so that's a pretty good achievement.
Yeah, he's done very well, I would find. For only having played him for a couple of months, very good, very strong.
And his list selection in the lead up rounds is very, very interesting. Simon does not actually have access to Mulg.
Or an AXA.
Or an AXA.
You say interesting, some would say questionable. It's a matter of opinion.
But he's a lovely guy, and we're going to rag on him this whole time.
Yes, we are. That's why we love the nips.
We love the nips, the nipception. So he's done well, and he's taking Grissel1 against Tommy. It's pretty much the only option he had, I think, in the...
Yeah, I think it is. Grissel1 is definitely the one you want to drop into Cricks. With Cacophony, stopping orders, some of those things you'll be able to charge. Packing things like waters under the stone, you can really get a nice attrition game going where they can't bring enough damage to bust through your armour. So I can see this game being a very long, grindy game. Just a matter of whether he can stay in the zone while staying alive long enough, basically.
And the scenario is actually a fairly live one, because you have those outside flags that your caster can dominate from, and for someone like Goreshade, who's got such exceptional mobility, this scenario is probably fairly live. I mean, knowing that, Simon selected his objective as Bunker, which is the impervious flesh one. I would have gone for the self-sack one.
I think the self-sack one's probably the right call. He's got a full unit of Krill Warriors and a full unit of Femblades. There's a lot of single unit infantry that you can just make it keep alive, so you can get up in the scenario that way. I will say, scoring the outside flags, you can only dominate them, and with so many at 75 points, there's so many models on the board that getting your caster that far up the table does have a very big element of risk to it. Probably a late game play, but we'll see how it plays out.
So the deployment has just commenced. Simon is one first turn, and that's pretty big for Trolls against Cricks.
Yeah, it is massive. You don't want Cricks to be setting the dictating the pace of the game and setting how far you can go up, especially as Tommy has the Blood Witches. If they run up hard first turn and he can't deal with them, then it really limits how far he can go. So big first win getting that first turn.
So Simon's options for dealing with the incorporeal Blood Witches are not a lot. He's got a stone to strip off the incorporeal and the stealth, and that's about it.
That is entirely it. It is a good option though. You can do the little tricks where you pop it, throw the stone out, put a bunch of attacks from say some Krill Warriors into it. It's worth losing the stone aura for one turn, because at 75 points you've got so many models. You can sacrifice a unit of Krill Warriors, all the Fen Blades and the armor buff for one turn just to get rid of that Blood Hag. It's extremely important.
And it's interesting you say about the size of the game, because 75 points definitely changes how much the aura can actually affect his army. Like, the size of the aura is only ever going to be so big that he's not going to be able to get everything in his army in there. Yep. So sacrificing the stone for one turn, if it's going to get him the Blood Hag and put him in a good position attritionally, then it's probably the right call.
Yeah, I think it is for sure. The other good thing about this scenario as well is because you've got the long rectangle, you only need to contest in a small frontage on your side of the board, so you can actually stagger your army in waves and that way keep most of the important stuff in the Krillstone aura. So that plays into his favour, I think, a little bit. I think one thing we'll find out here is that Simon is probably going to rue the fact that he does not have a Storm Troll in any of his 3 lists, because that would be absolute magic here.
A Storm Troll on the Long Riders would do so much work for him right now.
It's like you impact attack with Electro Leaps, and then you get your charge attacks with Electro Leaps. If it's Grissel's feet turn, then you get to hoof it and also you get to make a second attack in your activation, with more Electro Leaps, and then hoof it back another 7 inches from the mass murder you just committed. So very, very strong in the Crix matchup. Simon Herber does not like the Storm Troll.
I'll be honest with you. I think what's happened for Simon, and this is no disrespect to him because we all love him, I don't think he thought he was any chance of making the top 4. And so I don't think he considered what he would do in a 75-point list and what pieces he needed. And I think the best players in this format really take the time to go, what's my 75-point list that I want to play against various lists, and then build back from there.
Definitely.
It's potentially going to weaken your 50-point lists, but I think it's important enough that, because if you do get through, you need to have
options.
Exactly.
You have to have those options available to you, so that if you run into this Crix spam, or if you run into heavy armor spam, you've got your heavy hitters, say like a Mulg, and the fact that he doesn't have a Mulg in any of his 3 lists, I think, is definitely a fact that he probably hasn't thought he was going to make the 75-point rounds. But he's here, he's going to give it his best shot, and root for him. Aussie. It is Australia Day, so we're behind the Aussies.
Yeah, Tom's. So let's go through the list now. Simon's just finished his deployment. He's about to ship the clock. The list. One downside to Trolls again and clock shipped. One downside to Trolls winning first turn is, with the medium bases, it can be very difficult to fit them in a space that's relevant.
Just realising that. I'm looking, he's deployed almost to the back edge of the board the whole way along, and he's taking up all the board edge. So, definitely. But it looks like he's got Long Riders on one flank, and a unit of Warders on the far flank. The other unit of Warders is central, and that's flanked with the Krillstone dead centre. Femblades on the left flank and Krillstone on the right flank. So it looks like he's going to get that single wound infantry right up the bird early, backed up by one unit of Warders, and then have the other unit of Warders and the Long Riders as your flanking pieces. Show the threat, but you can always pull it back and just focus on that central zone.
Yeah, Grissel's got a lot of really good tools up her sleeve, and Hoofit is one of them that's really awesome. But let's actually go through the list. Do you want to just read off the list for us?
Alright, so Simon's rocking Grissel1 with a Pyre Troll and an Impaler as the battle group. He's got 2 Fell Callers, the Stone Stripe Chronicler, Saxon and Janissa as the solos. Important pieces there, Saxon giving out the Pathfinder and everything. Unit-wise, Max Stone with UA, a max unit of Long Riders, max unit of Burrowers, 2 full units of Warders, full unit of Fenblades with UA, Min Creel Warriors with 3 Cabers and their UA. So one of the late changes we talked about, he's actually gone for the Min unit of Warriors over the max to get the Stone in, and I think that's definitely the right call. The second list we have here, Tommy G is playing Goreshade3. Now Goreshade3's got a Scarlock, a Harrower and a Defiler in his battle group. He also has Aarkos, who's running a Leviathan. Solo-wise, Tartarus, the ubiquitous Dara Wraith, and a Warwitch Siren. And then he has a full unit of Bane Knights, a full unit of Soul Hunters, the Wither Shadow Combine, a min unit of Blood Witches with the all-important Blood Hag that every Troll player loves to see, and the full unit of Bane Thralls with the UA. So it is a lot of guys. Goreshade3 is bringing a lot of recursion mechanics, and Trolls have very, very few ways to stop it, and Simon has none of those ways in his list at the moment. So I think we're going to see a very grindy game here.
So just a couple of things about the table setup. Now, Tom's chosen the side because Simon obviously won first turn. Now, you just look at that setup. That is Goreshade's dream. He's got a cover objective with a forest.
Effigy of Valor is Tom's objective.
So the Valor objective with cover for Tom, and Simon's gone for the Impervious Flesh Bunker. So Goreshade can just basically walk forward, get cover from that objective, and if he ever wants to, he can just walk behind the forest.
Yep.
It's just it's a perfect spot for Goreshade.
And also, Goreshade being the cav caster that he is, can abuse ride-by attacks. Obviously, if you're hugging that cover objective and you don't have fly to ride-by, it does severely limit what you can do in a turn. Goreshade can just go straight out from behind that. And with Dara Wraith also affected by Death Ride, if I'm correct. And so he can go out there and he can get some work done from behind that cover. Really take advantage of the strong position there. also has a wall. I'm not sure if that's a hedge wall or a
I believe they're both full walls. So Tom's just shipped the clock, and Simon is about to deploy his burrowers, and then we are underway with this game. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Who do you think's your pick for it?
My pick at the moment would be Tommy G. I can see this game being a very long game, and I think he is a faster player. And the fact that Timon has only been playing Trolls for a few months might come back to bite him here, as Tom is very, very proficient with the Cricks. Been playing them for a very long time, and I think he'll just win out through being a faster player. It's going to be a grind.
Yeah, it does look like a long game. The way I see this game panning out, Simon is actually... I think Simon's won the deployment here, because those long riders are up against the infantry, and that's kind of what they want to be up against. They pump out enough impact attacks and things like that when he...
The problem is the Bane's on the return. He needs to be very careful with his hoof-it moves.
Exactly, but if he gets the hoof-it
back, to pull it back.
Exactly. So I feel like Simon wins this side of the board, the side closest to us. The burrowers are actually a really key piece in this game. Tommy's obviously got nothing that can deal with them. Simon winning first turn means they get to make the running. If they get to walk forward now, burrow, and now in turn 2, when Tommy puts his guys forward, it's going to be big. So Simon's just taking his first turn now, questioning.
The other thing that's quite interesting about this matchup is you think Goreshade3's recursion mechanics are very strong, but he's only bringing back a maximum of 3 guys per turn, which when you've got so many troll things that you're trying to get through, it's not actually as strong as you might otherwise think it is. So
and it doesn't scale to 75 points well. He's going to be losing a lot more models every turn than he's going to be able to bring back.
And bringing back the Soul Hunters he has matched up with the Fen Blades who have set defense, so it's like 5 hit them, but also the Waters on that flank. So Soul Hunters versus Waters is not a great matchup for the Soul Hunters. The Waters, although they can't really catch them, they will eventually grind them down.
He does have Scything Touch though, that maybe skews it slightly in their favour, but it still probably falls on the Waters side.
Power 15 charges with Scything Touch. So yeah, it's an interesting one. They might get it done. It would force Goreshade to spend all his recursion mechanics on the Soul Hunters. They want to get through those Waters, and there's a lot of other threats on the board. The key here for Simon is definitely quick play.
So you probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but Simon's moving his long riders up deep down the far right, which is a very good move. They're going to be able to threaten a lot of board position from there.
Yep. He is. It's the right move. Present with the Banes having a limited threat range. Present up really hard, and you basically put him in a position where he can't move up that far. If he does, then you're in a position to kill the front rank and hoof it backwards. The one thing there is, though, he needs to get all the Bane Riders or the Bane Knights if he's going in, because Vengeance will catch up with them after the hoof it moves. Once again, would love a Storm Troll.
Storm Troll would change this matchup, and it's just it's such a shame, because if Simon had a Storm Troll right now, you could almost say that because there's no P-Scar on the other side of the board, he is well in this game. Like, it is a big game.
If he had a Storm Troll, I think he'd be favoured, as it is. Just by sheer virtue of the fact that he's gotten first turn, we think he's won deployment. I think he's in a good spot here. Just a matter of capitalising on it. One of the good things here is that Tom's a phenomenal player with Morton Ebra and the assassination angles, and you don't have those assassination angles as much with Goreshade, especially versus the Trolls players. So he's going to be forced to play the long game, and that's what Trolls excel at. So we'll see how it plays out.
I'm interested to see exactly how Tom uses his feat, because it's one of those feats that requires you to sacrifice your own models to get value out of. That's counterproductive for him in this game, because if he feats on too many models to stationary Simon's army, then he's not going to have any value in the next turn to like that.
He doesn't have the typical feats models that you would like to see, like some Machine Race, Black Banes potentially, just those single win models that you can just throw away and you go, I'm not caring about these. The Banes are slow, the Soul Hunters are high priority, being a max unit, you need them to do work, you don't want to be running them just to get feat targets off. And the same with the Witches. The Witches are too important to throw away for that.
For mine, the Witches will be the ones that will be the feat targets, because they're 4 points, and the only reason why they're in the list is for the Hag. Yeah, so the Witches, the
Hag's important.
You can give the Witches away. The Hag has to stay alive, and with Valor, he can do that and not have to worry about command checks for that turn.
It's a very good point. I feel like you might see Tommy using the feet to stationary unit leaders to then stop any charges against him, which will force Simon to then kill off his own unit leaders, lose another attack through promotion just to be able to make charges that turn.
So we're gonna have a special guest commentator for this match as well, which is all the way from Scotland, Mr. Billy Crookshanks, also known as Snake Shanks.
Say hello, Billy.
Say hello, Billy.
Hey guys, how you doing?
You were supposed to say hello, Billy. You missed that one, mate.
So Billy's the troll expert for us. Leaps and I just muddling our way through. But anything you wanted to add to that, Billy?
How am I feeling with the matchup? I think I agree with what you've said so far. I think if Simon had a Storm and a Winter Troll, he'd be in a really, really good shape. However, he didn't have those in his list, didn't have the options available to him. So I think just now it's probably close on 50-50. I agree. I think the way that the game's shaping up just now, Simon's deployed his units really well. He's got the Burrowers opposite Bane Thralls. That's the best target in the list for them. Long Riders opposite Bane Knights. That's fine, I guess. And then everything else, it doesn't really matter. It's all just kind of gravy at that point. All he's got to do is, like you say, keep all his models away, or all his unit leaders at the back away from things that can run out quickly, stationary them. And he has to try and use the Creelstone, which I think he is doing to annoy the Soul Hunters to stop them from running all the way through his lines with Incorporeal. So far it's looking like Simon's playing it pretty well. We'll see how Tom reacts.
The Winter Troll is just something that it would have made this matchup heavily favoured for Simon. Heavily favoured.
Another thing, Kalandra's tier, the new tier, Elemental Evolution. Did I get that right, Billy?
Evolutionary elementalism.
It's close enough, mate. It's close enough. No one knows what it's called. It's EE. If you have that, you're usually rocking your Winter Troll. You've got your Storm Trolls. I think that might be a ubiquitous list in a 3-list Iron Gauntlet final, just because it gives you a lot of options at the 75 points range.
So Simon's just shipped his clock after first turn. I'm just going to get a bit of a close look at the table and see if there's anything we missed.
Big Dano moving in for the kill.
The big fella. But the game is nicely poised. One thing Billy mentioned was that stationaring the unit leader of the Long Riders would be devastating for Simon. Losing two, not being able to charge with those guys, especially if it's going to be on like a Grissel feet turn, is massive.
The lack of goal rush order, because Long Riders rely almost entirely on that, means that they can, get their impact attacks or whatever if they charge. They can also slam models into other models. Knocking down infantry is generally very good, even if they don't kill, but against crits it's POW 14 collateral, so it probably will kill them. So if you can stationary the unit leader, it means that all they do is they walk and make one POW 7 attack. They can't even do raid buys. It's actually probably better to just keep them back. Another thing I'll notice here is it seems like Simon didn't move any models with Hoofit. Is that correct? There was no Hoofit move there?
I think there was no.
Grissel can use Hoofit and run. It's not at any time during this model's activation, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. Maybe he just forgot.
Might have been a small mistake there from Simon to start off with. Didn't hoof it and run.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he hoofed anything.
No. So with the Long Riders, one of the things there is, do you feel it's worth, if the unit leader gets stationaried, to kill off the unit leader and promote just to be able to give Bull Rush that turn?
See, this is one of the problems of playing Trolls, because killing a Long Rider unit leader is a serious investment. He is a 12-17 model with 8 boxes and tough. So I mean, like, the only thing I think that's over there that could kill that guy easily would be like a Caber. And I mean, like, it's one of those, you're taking a gamble. I would probably just preserve the unit, move them back, play safe, put up Cacophony on his feet turn to deny the charges from the Crick's army, which makes your armor more effective. And I just wait and counterpunch. That's something Grissel's very effective at. So
I feel like one of the big things that he has here is, with the Cabers being able to slam other Creel Warriors, and also the Bull Rush being able to slam, he can get a large amount of attacks and kills out of just slams over all of Tom's small base infantry on that side. So whether that's Bull Rushing, slamming their own models, you can get a lot of value out of that. So
Tom's has mini-feeded with his Witches, and that's probably not a bad first turn play. Simon's Creelstone, and this is something that Troll players really have to struggle with. He hasn't left a line for his Creelstone to run through to deny those Incorporeal. Like, the Creelstone is going to have to activate after some of the other models, which means he can't get those models to attack the Blood. It's really hard with the size of the medium bases to do something like that, like run your Creelstone through into the best position.
No, you need to be aware of that in your first turn. Like, if he does mini feet, do I have an option here? And you have to leave those lanes. that might be a lack of practice. I'm not sure how much Simon's played Grissel into trolls. Into Cricks.
I know he's played at least one.
At least one.
That was against Deno.
How did that play out?
I made 5 Bane Knights and charged Grissel with 0 cam. It went well.
It's like it would have gone.
Good old Simon.
Big Deno.
That was also under Scar's feet turn, so they were power 16.
Oh, that's just a lazy power 16.
That's just gravy. That's just added gravy.
It's something that you need quite a lot of practice with, the Creelstone. There's quite a lot of kind of specific matchup tech. You're right, you need to leave a lane for it against Cricks by and large, because you want to run out and deny stealth, deny incorporeal, stuff like that. And at the same time, you want it positioned in such a way that models with incorporeal can't run through your dudes. There's quite a few other ones, like off the top of my head, against Harbinger, you want to run it up as far as you can turn 1, almost regardless of anything else, so that when she feats, it's still in a relevant position. So I think it's probably an experience thing from Simon. He is newish to trolls, so yeah, that's probably my guess. And he's probably going to regret it in a few seconds.
My concern with Grissel1 in 75 points is the control area issue. Now, Simon is probably going to be able to get most of his army in the feet. I don't think he's going to be able to get all the army. He's going to have to either concede the warders on the left or the long riders on the right as not getting her feet.
Yep.
And that sucks. That really sucks.
I feel like with the volume of attacks he's going to be getting on the right flank with the Burrowers and potentially the Creel Warriors slamming things, he doesn't need to send them long riders in this turn. If he can hold them back, use them as like a second or third wave, the Bane Thralls and the Bane Knights will fight through all his infantry. They'll kill them, that's fine, but then you get a lot of value out of the extra attacks if she does that, or hoofers in like follow-up turns. So
it looks like Tom hasn't been too aggressive this turn, which I wouldn't say it surprises me, but is next turn the right turn for Grissel to defeat? And if it is, has Simon left enough of a lane for her to get through to a relevant position?
I don't think it's the right turn to feat, purely because he can't get his Creelstone up there to get rid of all the incorporeal off those Blood Witches. If he could do that, he could feat, send the long rangers in, do an absolute, and the pigs, he can just charge the pigs instead of burrowing, do an absolute number on all the Bane units over on the right flank. The Fenblades would tear up the left flank with their heroic ballad, and then Grissel would be able to press further into the lines and stop charges from the entire Crick's army, which buys you a lot of tempo. And it's actually oddly effective against Goreshade's feet, because if the units can't run, and then be turned stationary, it makes his feet a lot harder to use. So I think the early feat is what Simon should be gunning for here. To what Leaper was saying, or in fact it's what you were saying about not being able to catch the entire army in the feet, you're right, but Grissel can actually use her fell calls in the same turn she feats. So she would be able to put, say, a heroic ballad on the warders over on the left flank, then walk over and feat on the right. So the warders that she put heroic ballad on wouldn't benefit from the feat, but anything else she catches in the 12-inch bubble would. So there's options there, but I agree, the control area is the main issue here. He's spread out a lot.
Does Grissel have reach? No? Okay. There's a lane there where Grissel can walk up and potentially kill a Fenblades, which might open the lane for the Creelstone to run through. She has a spray. Well, she's got a spray, she can definitely walk around and do that. So potentially she could kill the 2 Fenblades she needs to. Of course, this is when tough comes back to bite you. But if she does that, the Creelstone could go through. The Fenblades would then be able to charge up, and I think that would then be a good time to feed. Get rid of the Blood Witches before they can go in, and then he really does struggle to have good feet targets.
It looks like Simon is gonna play a longer game. This is going to play into Tom's hands, because it's going to mean Simon has to delay his feet, because if Tom just runs up and stationary is half of his army, when Simon feats, the double attacks are losing value, like everything is losing value. So it's sort of, I feel like Simon won first turn, he had to set up for a turn 2 feat where he'd get as much value as he possibly could, and I don't know if he has.
I think the fact that Tom's been so cautious in going up shows that he is respecting the threat range that he's presenting. So it's not the Burrowers going back underground means he can't stationary them, so they will get value next turn for sure. The fact that he's doing that makes me think that he is going to delay the feat for a turn. The Burrowers coming up with the extra attacks will be devastating. Getting back arcs, Warcry, Mat 8 will do some work. Back arcs and Warcry?
Yeah, the fell call, it doesn't upstack with a fell call from Grissel's feet. So one thing we haven't talked about in this game yet is how cognizant Simon has to be of the assassination threat. Goreshade can threaten from about 21 inches away without an arc node. And if he can get a model beside Grissel, doesn't matter if she's camping or not, he can put 3 Siphon Bolts into her, and then he can put Iacos's Leviathan shots into her, and that will kill her. There will be no tough, she will just die. And I don't know if Simon can stop that from happening. It's
if Tom goes for the tempo feat, which I think we think he's going to do, where he stationaries as many models as he can. My play with Grissel would be Camp 6 Cacophony, because Grissel has nothing to spend on a turn where her entire army is stationary. All she needs to do is kind of go into damage control, wait, and then the feat counter punch with, that unit of Long Riders itself can probably carve up that entire flank. Just Grissel's Long Riders are the best cavalry in the game, in my opinion. It'll be absolutely brutal.
Long Riders have always been the best cover in the game.
They have. Along with Raptors and now Tempest Blazers, I would say, with different roles. It looks like what he's done here is one of his two fell callers.
Simon's just tuffed on that model, which is awesome.
He's had a fell caller walk up, try to spray the Femblades to create the lane for the stone to run through, and like all good tough players, he's tuffed. You're not troll players, mate. You're a tough player.
It's one of the things actually that Saxon's very good for. Some cute tech there. If there's one of your own models blocking a charge lane, you can use Saxon to take him out.
Take down.
Yeah, exactly.
Take down.
Take down that beam.
Yeah. So this is where the first turn placement, and 75 points is tough. Let's not criticise Simon, because with that many models on the table, it's next to impossible for trolls to leave the right lanes and still be relevant with their positioning.
It is. You kind of have to sacrifice that. You'll be bunching some models up. If he has AoEs, you'll have to cop them, because it's more important to get the Krill Stone through the next turn, because that is critical to stopping those Blood Witches.
I think that may have been the Impaler, the Pyre Troll. So he's done the right thing. He's got the Creel Stone up there. That's good.
Successfully cleared the guys he needed to get it out there. So do you feel now that that's happening, this is the feed turn? Or do you sacrifice the Femblades to kill them and then just don't worry about it?
1 second, I'm going to go look and see how far away those Long Riders are from the fence.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'd feat here. I'd feat on the Fenblades and the Long Riders. I would have moved Grissel in between the two of them. The Creel Warriors with, if she can cast Calamity, the Creel Warriors with Swiftfoot are in threat range as well. I think the Cabers can get into the front Banes. And you can run the other Creel Warriors so that the Long Riders can slam them, and then they can still make attacks on nearby models. I would go nuts this turn.
It makes me feel like the Burrowers are shouldn't have dropped down this turn.
On Gristle Sweet turn, and if they're in the front arc of stuff, Burrowers are only map 4, unless you Warcry them, and at that point it gets quite complicated when it comes to the Hoofit stage of the game. Hoofit on Burrowers is really, really good, but I feel like if he wants to put the Long Raiders in, then burrowing the Burrowers was the correct call, just because it clears the lane for the Long Raiders.
And it also gives you the impact attacks. The Burrowers will probably be in the lane for the impact attacks, so you can impact the front line and then carry through to the second line. So do you feel with the Hoofit moves here, is the correct call to jam up with the single wound infantry?
It's jam up with the single wound infantry. Keep your Cabers alive, obviously, because they're really important. Keep all your leaders back, but put the grunts of the unit deep into the army. It's not a caster with Ghost Lock, so there's no easy way for him to mitigate that, like most Grix lists have. And if you run the stone up to stop incorporeal, the Soul Hunters can't clear out the jam, things like that. Grissel's saying no orders, so even if Tom tries to dig deep, he's not going to be able to. The only thing to watch out for would be Vengeance off the Bane Knights getting stationary in weird places.
But they're too far off to the right, so.
Exactly, yeah, I agree. I would feat here, for sure.
The Bane Knights do stagger quite deep, so if the Long Riders go in and kill the front rank of the Bane Knights, after they pull back with their 7-inch Hoofit move, they should still be in threat range, do you think, of the Bane Knights?
You can slam the front Bane Knights into the back Bane Knights.
Magic tech. Long Riders, ladies and gentlemen, amazing.
Yeah, they are. It's fantastic.
I'm going to have a quick look at the right of this game.
So Ben's going over to check the other game, which is James Morehouse versus Michael Blythe. The matchup is Radigus versus P. Scar, which seems absolutely fine and fun. Well, let's get back to the main game. Simon has charged with his Fen Blades into the now corporeal Blood Witches. And fortunately, thanks to the Valor objective, the Blood Witches do not have to test for terror, even though I think Simon has... Ooh, his leader's very far back here. Is he going to be able to get him through? He's going to have to leave a line, isn't he?
Yeah. Bear in mind the Fen Blades with the drummer have a 12-inch command bubble, so he actually does have quite a lot of leeway there. But yeah, he's definitely going to have to be very cognizant of where he's putting his models, especially because, like we say, if Goreshade feeds on top, it's losing your leader models against Goreshade, or presenting your leader models against Goreshade is really, really bad.
So it doesn't look like Grissel's feeded yet. So, I mean, it's probably not something that you needed for these guys. Is because I'm assuming, did he fell call on +2 mat for them?
He must have. There's no way you would put mat 6 models into def 13 models without war crying if you have 2 fell callers on your list. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I think if he's not going for the feat this turn, the correct play will be to swift foot up the remaining Creel Warriors without the Cabers, put them in front of the Banes and just present them basically, and save the Long Riders back, because Tom is going to have to come forward with that Bane Swarm at some point. Burrows are going to get to come up, you're going to get feet on top of that, you'll probably get some back arcs, and the Long Riders are going to get to go in as well, so not feeding's fine.
The other game is delicately poised. It looks like Blythy's managed to remove all the mannequins from behind the forest wall. He's got the army set up so that Bradigus would have to feat to push forward to then try and get into his lines. Scar hasn't feated. He's going to lose all the nests. There's about 6 nests that are all clumped up to shoot mannequins right opposite the Wild Wrath. It's one punch, all knocked down, all dead. But it's a good trade-off because he's killed the mannequins from that. The one problem that I see is that the Kraken is near the front line. P-Scar is to the right behind the Kraken, with about a large base worth of space in front of her and a large base worth of space to the right behind her. So Fort Scar is non-existent, and she's probably about 20 inches away from Bradigus. So
if Bradigus has to feat though to get the synergy chains up, then it's probably... What was her camp at this stage?
I think she's on full camp.
As in 12? Or?
I'll have a look.
Okay. Let's get back to this game. So yeah, it looks like definitely Simon has done Warcry, because he's mowed down every single one of those Blood Witches. We've got... this is a bit of a tough call now for Simon, isn't it?
Looks like he's only on 8 camp. I think he must have rolled a 1 or a 2 for that first roll. So not a huge amount of camp, but like you said, if he has to feat to build up synergy because nothing else is in threat range, then Bradigus can't get it done himself. So with the mannequins gone, Blythy's actually in quite a good position, it looks like right now. Everything's just in this massive line, ready to get P-Scar's feet, charge in and wreck some fucking face. My belief was that the amount of points, 75 points, benefits the players against Bradigus, because Bradigus, the only option really is to take in a Wild Wrath and a World Watcher, and that's if you play the Morvana list. Like, there's no other way you can build upscale his list. Simon, with some vintage form, has just scattered a Pyre shot onto Tartarus and potentially the Scarlock as well. Stay tuned, this could be massive.
I'm going to get a close look. We've paused the clock there. The judge...
Best judge in Australia. Magnificent Robert Shepherd. Sure, it's Robert Shepherd.
Judge Rob.
Oh yeah, love Robert Shepherd. Yeah, magic guy.
Absolute legend of the game. Great judge.
Great facial hair.
Great facial hair. Great beard. Just an all-round outstanding gentleman.
So this is really important.
This is massively important. If he can set Tartarus on fire, get a good boosted damage roll, and Tartarus dies, it's massive. It brings out that extra the extra recursion game that he needs in this sort of level. Big roll. I missed it, but the Fenblade's got all the...
Yes, one left. So the Scarlock just got killed, which is immense for Simon.
He can't cycle Scything Touch while also being able to play his full recursion game with 3 turns. That is huge.
So here he's going. This is a big roll on Tartarus. If he gets some damage...
He's rolled a 12, which is 1 damage.
That's okay, because Tartarus is now on fire. It's dice -5. That means that he can actually kill him on a double 6.
Yep. But the other thing is
it's more relevant, I think, if he dies dies in 2 turns. Tartarus is a really odd piece against Grissel. I haven't played the Goreshade3 matchup much, but against this Asphyxias too, what tends to happen is Grissel abuses Cacophony all game and stops the Banes from charging, which actually removes a lot of the value from Curse, because you don't really care much about increasing your odds to hit against trolls. They're all defensive rolled anyway. What tends to be more important to do with Tartarus is actually use him to get a choice Thresher to make some Banes, or to abuse Dark Shroud on a unit of multi-wound models.
Feel like he's very much a late game piece. After the burrowers come up and do their thing, they'll kill quite a few guys and they will be clumped up, which is a perfect Thresher. So if the fire doesn't go out on Tartarus' turn, or next turn, and he does some decent damage but doesn't kill him, it might be worth holding the burrowers back so that you give Tartarus another chance to die from fire before you potentially give him those Banes. Did the hag die?
No, the hag's behind the objective blue thing. But so the hag's still alive. She's still a piece. The issue with Tartarus and the burrowers also is terror. There is no. Simon could have taken an effigy of Valor here and removed that from the equation.
Valid actually and her feet both make units fearless.
If they've pushed so far up in this that it might not be relevant.
He actually needs to catch one roller, I believe, to make his unit fearless.
Yeah, that is correct. I believe all her feet is model/unit.
Her feet is model. I'm not 100% sure how that works with heroic ballad. If not, though, she can use heroic ballad to rally them and the whole unit, and then feet. It's not a huge issue.
Yeah, another reason why she's so good versus Crix, as they do have a lot of terror causing models. Simon feeded this turn. Alright, Simon did not feed. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like he's just going to try and scalp out those first few pieces, get the single wound infantry up there, not trigger Vengeance. The key thing here is, with the Blood Witches mostly gone, his feet targets is severely limited. If he pulls the Long Riders back, then he's not going to have threat range. What just happened, Trent?
He goes, what does Grissel do again?
We're giving, the best commentary to our ability, and Simon is just bumbling through the game.
Yeah.
Completely unaware of what he's doing, and almost idiotic savant.
He's channeling some Michael Blythe here, the original idiot savant. Grissel is moving up now, actually, it looks like.
So for me, if I wasn't going to feed this turn, my play would probably be to put Hoof It on those fanboys, like that, like he just did there, because Cacophony is really risky here. He has 2 Warjacks up there and they don't care at all about Cacophony, and Goreshade can probably use his feet to clear a lane to Grissel and stationary Grissel, and then she'll just die, even if she's camping 6 with Cacophony. So my play here would probably be Hoof It on the Fanblades, get the Fanblades up there, jamming all the lanes, run the Cruel Warriors up to protect the Long Riders, and run the Long Riders into the centre of the board with the Warders to support, so that if he goes into the front line of Troll Infantry, you can feed the turn after and just blow it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the right call. By not engaging those Bane Knights, the Bane Knights are quite slow, only running 10 per turn. If you don't trigger Vengeance and you pull the Long Riders back, they've got threat range for days versus those guys, so there's no need for them to run into threat range, play the long game there, exactly like you said, and you can really focus on what's in the centre of the zone. The burrowers will jam them up the following turn and probably kill them actually with use of the feet, and then you are in a very strong position there. The Long Riders, definitely the key in this game.
Grissel's Long Raiders are, I feel like if you take Long Raiders with Grissel, they should be the focal point of your army, because they are hogs for her Felcals, but at the same time they get more out of her Felcals than any other piece of the army, in my opinion. Just due to the way the cavalry rules work, they can position themselves in ways and with reach to make use of the multiple attacks, unlike Warders, for example, are really slow, and with the speed 7 they get a ton of work out of it as well.
Do you feel like deploying the left unit of Warders so far out in the flank was a mistake?
I feel it's odd. Whenever I play with double Warders and Long Raiders, my Long Raiders go front and centre because they have the largest threat range, and it means that if you can imagine an army in terms of threat doubles, my threat range is generally even. It means that you can't pick off parts of the list, whereas here I feel like Tom could probably kill those Fenblades and get in on the Warders and then move back with light cav moves and things like that. And if he kills the front bunch of Warders from reach range, he would be 7 inches away from those and presumably 9 inches away or more from the other Warders. It's going to severely limit Simon's ability to counter punch, and that's what the Long Riders are usually used for. They're long threat range. So I think it's interesting that he's putting them out in the flank. And I think based off of how he's going to play this round, he's probably going to have to move them more centrally, purely because of how Grissel works with her feet. She's, trolls in general are a faction that are very focused on remaining around that cruise or remaining Warrior Warlock. We don't have any arc nodes or anything like that, or any ways to extend those abilities.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I like doing with fast units is deploying them on the flank, showing that it's out there, if you're going first especially, and then having your opponent counter deploy, and then running back to the centre. Always run back to the centre, and if they've deployed a slow unit out there, then you are playing points up in that game until about turn 3 or 4, and that can be massive, that can be game winning. So it'll be, I think the long rider activation here, seeing where they end up, will definitely be the key one.
So Simon is putting a lot of models around Grissel. I'm just going to get a very quick update. 6 kills him. So the time remaining is 46 minutes left for Simon, and Tom has an hour and 5. So Simon is a long way behind on time.
Not completely within, just within.
They have to be placed on formation, etc., etc. And then
So they just put my whole army there.
any model that can't be placed
Gorn!
a 5-inch area is very
The hack is still alive. No! And she's fearless still. What a shame.
No, you're so sad.
Oh, so sad.
I should have sold. No, he's close enough to pick it up.
Yeah, they are.
Huh?
It's 3 inches like a shell. At least that one.
Kill both of them.
Okay, you can do that.
What was your which moves? Yep. I guess. Should try that.
She's walking or charging? So she's behind the ellipsoid of that building, I think.
Yeah, so that's right.
It's actually not quite based on. Oh, so it's not the silver. It's not the silver.
It is, but he's left it out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hello, Haggis.
Haggis?
Yeah, where's Billy? It's Haggis. It's a witch Haggis. It's a witch Haggis. Wait, I'm just gonna type the last one.
She'll charge.
Sorry, not.
Not syringes. Yeah, not good. 6 3, that's 14.
F14.
Casual. You're late. How's it? We'll do the blubbers. You're not tough inside. 16? That doesn't include you.
That's it. It's not.
He's alive.
What?
Only cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
She's about 7 inches.
She's nice.
Okay, you have to state which one you're doing before you attack. Okay. You just didn't do it.
Do you have any upkeep sign?
On them. No, dispel it. Dispel the minifig. It's fine.
That was it. Quick cloud. Go ahead.
Oh, that'll hit.
Yeah.
What's count?
Pause it.
Okay.
Go.
Seems good.
Get your paws.
Vengeance! Seems bad.
So on there's a road.
Yep.
Uncharge.
Yep.
I have to enter into losing the world.
As soon as you enter 11 inches of the stone, you cease moving.
Charge it.
That's fine. If you want
Yeah, that's true. It is.
Tom just moving the Soul Hunters at the moment.
Something I did want to talk about, just we were touching on this earlier, is how we felt that Simon should bring the Long Raiders closer to the centre. I don't know if we missed the unit's activation, but it looks like they didn't even move from this first turn.
Yeah, I was looking at that as well. It looks like they haven't moved at all, actually. The Long Riders stood completely still. We did talk about being a key activation, and they have not moved at all. Maybe he feels they're in a good position there, matched up against the Bane Knights outside of threat range.
It's possible, but
Like-
I think we want them all front and centre.
Yeah, like you said, they are extremely valuable in this matchup, and you need them for the Jacks, for all the things that are going to happen in the centre there. The Bane Knights could just be a distraction, and keeping things away from the scenario zones that Goreshade can try and assassinate. As we all know, Tommy G loves an assassination.
Things you were talking about with the list, Trent, and one of the places Grissel actually falls down against Cricks is when they bring Jacks. Cricks Jacks aren't nearly as bad as they get made out to be, especially not the Crab Jacks, and Goreshade has Infernal Machine and Scything Touch available to them. They are not effective at all by Cacophony. They don't care. Jacks work at full effectiveness under Grissel's feet, and she has very little that stops them. Even like Rift, which is our normal go-to against Jack, spam doesn't work because they have Pathfinder. So if Tom does go for a scenario gambit here, going all in on the central zone, I think it's the Jacks that are going to do most of the heavy lifting.
And I think that's where Simon definitely did well with his nice scatter, killing the Scarlock.
Yeah.
As being able to fuel the Jacks while also getting Sighting Touch into them becomes a lot harder.
Tartarus being alive is also very relevant because as a solo, he's also not affected by Cacophony. So he's able to get Dark Shard out, which helps Cricks Jacks a lot.
Looks like we may have lost a little bit of audio in the middle there. Only probably about 5 minutes, but sorry about that. No.
For those of you who can't see it, Dano just looking off in the distance, microphone stuck up his nose while me and Billy here having a chat.
You're welcome to hold the microphone, Ben.
So it looks like Tommy's surveying his options this turn. Soul Hunters have gone in and cleared out the front rank of the Fenblades, and now look like they're like having back. Like we talked about before, outside of threat range of the Waters, those Waters will not be attacking anything for the third turn in a row. And that's the beauty of Soul Hunters.
It's also the unfortunate truth that is Warders. They'll get there, just give them time.
That's what Creeks does. It's slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the day.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, it's going to be a really interesting game. I think it is. I think you're down in Scotland on the call. It's probably going to come down to a split for the middle zone, and I think that's why I would really like to see Simon put those Long Riders closer to the center. I think that's really why I would like to have seen Simon put those Long Riders closer to the center. It's just out there, all they're going to be able to do is kill the infantry, which the pigs and Clear Warriors excel at doing anyway. Long Riders is one of the more fantastic applications of them, is they can slam heavies and still murder nearby infantry. They still get to make their melee attack, and then they also get to make their feet attack, which means that they can charge or slam a heavy and then make 2 extra attacks on nearby models, which is very helpful at clearing out zones.
Massively so. If you also slam one of the heavies, being a large base, it travels over pretty much everything else in there. You're either hitting a Soul Hunter, in which case that's fantastic, kill that, or you're slamming over multiple small base models, which is also fantastic. Like we spoke earlier though, I feel like this game, Tommy's got a fair bit of time up his sleeve, and with a very time intensive turn coming up next turn, I feel like this game could be heading towards a clock scenario, in which case Tom just needs to keep recursioning, keep putting things in that zone. The feat's going to be a massive time walk. I think Simon will lose a lot of time working out how to get around the feat stationary models. It's going to be a real drain on his clock.
And on top of Grissel's feet, which is also a huge drain on the clock, you're looking at a lot of time spent for this role play here, and that's one of the things. Tom has actually gone for the opposite route that the other Cricks player on the semi-final table has gone, which is just more dudes. Tom has some jacks and things in here. He has a lot of key solos. It means he's kept his footprint and his number of models to actually activate down, which has put him in a position where he probably could actually play for time. It's not going to take him nearly as long to activate his army as it's going to take Simon to activate his.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. And both being range jacks, you are able to just soften up pieces without committing, keep jamming with the infantry, force them to basically spend time blowing through all your models, which Goreshade can bring back, and the jacks just keep doing work and just sitting in that zone. So I think
the key to beating trolls for this sort of thing is it's very hard to grind through them. You just need to stay ahead of them on the clock and try and grind it out.
I mean, if I had to pick a caster to grind for trolls, it'd be P-Scar. But after that, it would probably be Goreshade, especially when it comes to Grissel. Just he has a lot of things that she doesn't like. Like she likes to come forward and cast Cacophony and camp.
She's got a +7 Gradius about to get called into spell, so I think we're going So it looks like my earlier assessment of Bradius not being able to get to Scar was entirely incorrect. Blighty might be about to rue the fact that he has left those gaps near Scar. Could be yet another short game for the Bradigoose. Got caught up in the Bradigoose.
Fantastic.
Love a bit of singing. Cannot sing to save my life, but why not give it a crack? So looks like we've got the first thing activating. It's a Crickjack. No one actually knows what it is.
That's the Leviathan, I'm pretty sure. It's got the little crab claw. That's the Leviathan one.
The other one is a Harrower?
Yeah. It's Leviathan and Harrow. Leviathan's the range 13 one.
You can definitely tell that people see Crickjacks all the time. Like, what does that thing do?
Does it have an arc node? No, you don't see it then. So
I'm gonna, just to make sure, I'm gonna go have a look and see which deck that is.
Billy approaching the table. He's making his final descent back to the chair.
That's a Leviathan. The one on the right hand side is the Harrower. So
excellent. Looks like it was an AoE attack. Some troll guys are dying here. Some things going on. I'm just going to have a look at the clock situation. If you want.
Sure. Okay then, folks. So it looks like Tom here is going for the clearing out the zone plan, which I think is a smart move, because at the moment he doesn't really have to commit to do it, because like we said, Tom does have guns, which means he can clear out those fen blades from afar, which will hopefully allow him to maybe not necessarily put Goreshade in the zone. That's probably a little bit too much, but if he can set up to start winning on scenario, maybe score even one or two early points, he can really look to get ahead here. One of the other things that's probably worth talking about is the only real combat unit after those fen blades die that's going to be alive on the left hand flank is those warders, and if Tom can take those warders down, Grissel has this really bad habit of swinging to a position of safety on her feet turn. So Simon is probably, if I had to, looking at the board position, I would say Simon is going to swing backwards and to the right, which means that all he's really going to have to kill on that left flank is a unit of warders. If he can take those out, Goreshade can probably run to that flag uncontested.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And trolls are, as a troll player, trolls are really bad at getting even just models out to contest far-reaching units.
When you're playing the grind game that trolls are playing, you don't want to be running a unit just to be able to contest things. You need to be making attacks every turn, keep whittling them down. The clock situation is 52 minutes to Tom at the moment and 46 minutes to Simon. So one thing looking at here is not all the fen blades are dead. It's important as they will have vengeance, and it looks like he'll be able to get a few charges onto the Blood Hag. Now if you can hit that 13, hit the 7, take down the Blood Hag, that will be a massive thing for this turn.
I'd Warcry.
Pardon?
I'd Warcry.
Add Warcry too. So if they don't kill it with the vengeance attacks, then charging the follow with Warcry, definitely get it. This is going to be the feet turn. So I can see Simon, he'll get those Soul Hunters, the ones that are close, potentially put some attacks onto the Jack, kill the Hag, and then it's just how many of those Banes can he get through? But again, he needs to do it fast.
Yeah. Time is definitely in Tom's side here. He doesn't have any time-intensive models really in his list. I mean, it's fairly point and click.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of running. The other thing is as well is once Simon has his next big turn, he will be killing a lot of models, which means Tom's turns get even quicker.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's not like killing a ton of models is necessarily that bad for Tom. He has quite a lot of models in his army that are very capable of taking out multiple models. A Scything Touch Harrower with Dark Shroud nearby goes up to effectively power 20 and has Thresher. If it kills a model, it gets a soul, which it can effectively use as focus. I mean, if Simon clumps up, too many Long Riders or Warders, that thing can get in there and just rip them in half.
Oh yeah, no, it'll do the job. It'll definitely do the job. And the Long Riders, we talked about a lot, are definitely the key.
Yeah.
The burrows, when they pop up, did you feel they're going to go for the Bane Knights or the Bane Thralls?
One of my favourite uses of burrowers as a troll player is for killing Bane Thralls. Trolls generally don't have that many models that you're keen to trade into Bane Thralls with multiple attacks. Generally you want to send your chaff into them. And burrowers are fantastic for that because it means that they can get in there, get their charge swing or their even if from this point of view it's probably not going to be a charge, but if you can get Calamity in there or anything like that, their first swing, and then if they pass the tough check, they can make their second attack, forcing another one. It's just a little bit of redundancy. One of the things, though, I guess it's less relevant in this matchup because Grissel's thing is that she makes her models make multiple attacks. So I guess the rule doesn't apply quite as much here, but it's not like 3 attacks is going to be worse than 2.
Yeah, definitely. He has a big turn coming up. The key comes out. I feel like if he can use the Long Riders and the Cruel Warriors and the Burrowers to effectively clear off all the Banes, does Grissel use the feet move to try and get to the flag on the right-hand side? Like, will she be that adventurous, not straight away, but start moving towards that? Or is the threat of Goreshade just charging and killing her means she has to just stay back at all times?
I feel like the issue there is she probably has... Well, she has to certainly respect Goreshade's personal threat, which is 14 inches in this matchup because of Dararath. However, I would probably keep her fairly central to get the best use out of the cacophony portion of her feet, which is a 12-inch model unit bubble that stops orders and stops charging.
So Tom's just shifted time over to Simon. Simon, realising that he needs to play quickly, sits there and watches it for a good 10 seconds before realising that he is on the clock. So the Burrowers pop up first, and this is the key part. Which one are they going to go for?
Yeah. I think, for me, the answer would be the mid to back unit, or the mid to back of the Bane Thrall unit, and the mid to back of the Bane Knight unit. I wouldn't try and put any out in the front. I would try and get as deep as you can because your Long Riders and Cruel Warriors are going to clean up the front line anyway.
Definitely. If he can use, obviously with the feet attacks and the Cabers to kill all the Bane Thralls, use the hoof it move on the Cruel Warriors to then jam those Krigsjacks up and really pin them down, the Long Riders could probably quite safely sit on the hill, spread out, ready to, after their hoof it move, ready to then threaten into the Krigsjacks, and that's a very, very strong position.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of keeping Grissel alive through the feet turn and potential harrow shots.
Blythy's just passed 4 tough rolls in a row. The assassination is now off. Moops has just lost the game.
4 tough rolls on what? Wow.
Moops is beat back in through Bane Thralls, and he's trying to clear the lane, and the lane, he needs to kill 2 guys to get through, to get to Scar with 3. He needs 2 hits to kill Scar, and he is not going to get 2 hits. He's going to get 1 hit at best because Blythy's just passed 4 tough rolls.
I'm going to go check this out.
Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, well, truly a shock twist on our last news update. I have a feeling Moops isn't going to be too happy about that, and you fine ladies and gentlemen will probably be hearing something about that later. Poor guy. Anyway, let's get back to this game. Trolls on Cricks. How fun. So, Simon here has kind of lined his burrowers up in the front, which I personally feel is a mistake. It means that the Long Riders aren't going to get to do nearly as much this turn. And I feel like one of the principal kind of... one of your kind of principles of play with Grissel should be trying to get as much work out of your high-value models on the feet turn as possible. If you think about it, those Long Riders are going to heal all those Bane models at the front anyway, and the Burrowers are effectively in the way here. So if the Long Riders are going to kill those anyway, you definitely want to be digging deeper, getting further into the lines of those big Burrowers. Even if it's against models they're less likely to kill, or if it's against models that they're not getting back arcs on, that's fine because, like I say, Grissel's Long Riders will just rip the world in half. It's entirely possible, though, that I suppose Simon does have some other plan here, but I don't really see what it is. It looks like most of his strength is going to be concentrated into this right-hand flank. And I think his win condition will be the Long Riders just kind of steamrolling from the right down through to the left. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on in regards to that. I was just saying there, Leaps, welcome back, that because of... You're very welcome. That because Simon has put the Pig Burrowers in front of all of the Banes there, it's probably going to be quite hard to get really effective use out of the weight of attacks that the Long Riders and Cruel Warriors are going to put to bear. It seems like the Burrowers are going to kill all their targets.
Yes, but they're not going to dig deep enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Just coming back to say, Blythy did finally fail one of those tough rolls. Moops beatbacks, takes a free strike from another Bane Thrall, does 14 damage to him, so Bradius is on 2 health. I think he has 2 attacks left, and he's about 2.5 inches from Scar. So he needs to get one more foul tough and a one shot on Scar, camping about 8.
Huh.
So it's looking unlikely at this stage. Lesson of the day for Bradigus players out there. Toughs. Don't go for long range assassinations if you're relying on models to fail tough.
Yep.
Even if you will get to their caster and hit on anything but snakes and just auto kill them, if you need to get through tough models to do it, there's always the chance that they will just roll bonkers tough and you lose that game.
For sure.
Just fails the assassination run and Blighty wins.
2 health left in front of entire Piscar army. Does he activate the Kraken and just put it in the corpse? Is that what you do? Just put it in the meat fuel? Is that just a little kick in the guts?
I'd use Scar and kill him and then heal from it.
And heal from the feet, heal D3, or cut for 3, heal 3, cheers.
The Blighty passed 4 tough rolls in a row, and that saved him.
Yep. And we're just saying, like, you shouldn't go for assassination. I feel against models where you got like all those toughs. The option is there that they can just tough you out of the game, and you throw what can be like that game is in Bradigus' favour in the long game. That assassination is probably going to be on the table there at any time he wants it, as long as he keeps the stone safe. He didn't have a massive amount of huge threat range models that were opposite his Blythe didn't have a lot of models that could get into James's World Watchers. So, I mean, Bradigus got up to about mat 13, power 20 or so, but you're relying on failed toughs to get in there, and he's paid the price, unfortunately. Well done to Blythe.
Blythe is going to be one of the Iron Gauntlet finalists in this year's 2015 Cancon Iron Gauntlet final. And this game between Tom Guan and Simon Hall will decide the other one. So at this stage, it's probably likely to be... I feel like Simon's in a pretty good position.
One thing Billy and I were just talking about is, with the Burrowers, the position they were in, they needed to go for the back ranks of the Banes, because the Creel Warriors and the Long Riders were in a position to get the front ranks, and where his token was, he definitely could have got back in there. But by popping them up at the front rank, and them obviously not being immune to free strikes, he's not going to be able to dig deep enough to get all the Banes. And if he'd had the Burrows in the right position, he potentially could have wiped out 90% of the Banes on that flank, hoofed it up with the Creel Warriors, hoofed it up with the Long Riders behind them on the hill, Creel Warriors jamming up his heavies, and then he's in a very strong position to roll that flank. It might be hard to dig deep enough here, and it's already been a long turn by Simon. I think he started the turn with a 4-minute disadvantage, and it's a long turn. This is going to be a long turn.
Yeah, Simon's way off the pace with the time, so it's a nicely poised game actually, because I thought Tom was going to push hard for a scenario based on the way Simon left the zone fairly open, but he hasn't gone for that, and I think Simon's definitely in this game up to his eyeballs, which is a pretty good effort for someone who hasn't been playing a lot of trolls.
Oh, definitely. And Tom Guan, international man of mystery, extremely good player, has done very well in the US this year, has done very well wherever he goes. For Simon, who has, by his own admission, hasn't played for the last 2 months, to be giving him a very good game here, I take a hat off to him. He's doing very well.
So we've set someone on fire. Who did you just shoot there with the Plytron?
I think he deviated and hit Dara.
So what's the pal on the last?
So I think Dara's set on fire. Yeah. I'm fairly sure that's what happened there. I'll go up and have a look. 1 second.
We got to Scar.
He needed.
So just to clarify on that statement there, he set Dararath, the Harrower, and the Death Chicken on fire with a pretty good deviation.
So just talking about the specifics of James Morehouse's failed assassination run there, and very, very disappointing for the young fellow, I'm sure. Bradigus, the simple fact, no one can see the table, but Scar is about 6 inches in from the corner of the board on the back table edge, and Bradigus was about 12 inches up from the middle of his board. The fact that Bradigus can get to that position,
It's like Matt's 13 power 20 or so is horrendous. Shouldn't
not
happen.
good, not good.
One of the players from my local area, Aaron Thompson, got assassinated yesterday from 28 inches away. 28 inches away, that's not something that should happen. And this is not someone who's a bad player. He's an extremely good player. Was on our WTC team this year. And yeah, you don't want to harp on about Bradigus, but wow, some of the things he does are just not in the game in any other form.
In a way, it's a shame that James has lost both games against P-Scar in Tapili in the final and to Blythe just here, because it's made it look like it's not that bad. It's that bad.
Yeah, it is. Billy played against us. He'll be able to explain it.
Yeah, I won my game, and I had a 65% chance of dying with my caster, who had rolled a 6 for Ritual Sacrifice. She was camping 12 focus in the middle of about maybe 16 Crix models with Dara Wrath.
27 for
Yeah,
those.
with Beyond Death. With Beyond Death.
29 versus Bradigus.
Yep. And Bradigus still gets a 65% assassination run against me. The only reason, in fairness, that he had the run in the first place is because it was a kill box scenario, but I feel like that doesn't make it okay. It's not okay to automatically lose to a caster because it's kill box.
And you had to play a game where it wasn't, I'm going to play a game here, it's I'm going to put like 60% of my models in a circle around my caster just to not die, and she's at armor 29, and it was a 65% chance he dies. And I agree entirely with Trent. I feel like, as much as it's not a good thing for Bradigus, if James had won both events today with Bradigus, it gives more impetus to the fact that he needs to be changed, because it's bad for the game. It is very bad for the game.
Anyway, let's leave Bradigus off the table for discussion. Let's get back onto this very interesting game between Nipples and Tom Guan. So Simon is I think he's in a really good position here. He's winning an attrition fight against Goreshade, and he's got the ability to probably take out the Hag this turn.
Are the Bane Thralls shooting? So the pigs, are they shooting?
I think if the pigs are shooting, then Simon is probably not going to feat this turn. Which, it's interesting. He's holding his feet far longer than I would with Grissel, but at the same time, I think Trent's right. Tom doesn't have the threat range really Tom doesn't really have the threat range to force Grissel to commit. Really, he's not playing any Statixis Raiders or anything like that, and the Soul Hunters aren't really that big an issue. There's only 5 of them, and they're out on the flank.
And the stone's there to deny their incorporeal shenanigans.
Yeah, so I mean, like, Grissel can kind of just take pot shots effectively at Tom's army, and hold back, his main heavy hitters, the Warders and the Long Riders, until Tom does commit, and then he can just feat and explode out and kill the front line and then hoof it further into the line for the mad charges and things like that. Like it's interesting.
It definitely opens up the scenario game for Grissel. If he can hold up for one more turn, get the Banes on the right flank to commit, and therefore he gets even more attacks, more value attacks, he can definitely wipe them out in one turn, and then with the hoof it moves to jam up the heavies. Tom doesn't have much left that he can then clear out all those dudes with, and it also means that he'll be having the feet turn when the Waters get in there, and that's massive.
So just interrupt. If Tartarus doesn't die, he's going to get a 5-model Thresher.
That seems bad.
Yeah. That could end the game.
Yeah, that's pretty devastating. Yeah.
I'm just going to have a bit of a close look at the table because I feel like there's a few things interesting here. Simon's really putting a lot of pressure on, and Tom's not going to be able to get much value next turn because of the way Simon's done it. There's not a lot of stuff that's going to be able to push into.
I feel like this would be a good time to give Hoofit to the pigs, so they can, after they've shot, get the fuck out of there, because if he leaves that Thresher for Tartarus, the game changes massively.
Even if, like, say 2 at the 5 pass the tough check, 3 extra Banes that you get to create off of the unit leaders, that could be 3 Banes with Sighting Touch going into Long Riders or Warders, something like that. That is absolutely devastating.
It's definitely relevant where the leader is. I'm sure Tom's good enough to have placed his leader model at the front of the Bane Knights, but the actual Tartarus still being alive, it's not something that's easy to kill if you play it well, and Tom's obviously comfortable at playing that well.
if Tartarus does get the Thresher off, you'll notice that both of Simon's lights, which are his only two heavies, or so only two beasts, are in front of the objective in the zone. So if he creates some Bane Thralls, those Bane Thralls can charge both his lights. Depending where these cabers end up, he has no transfer targets. Even if you get one of them, no transfer targets, and then the feet stationary Grissel, go for the assassination, a couple of shots, she dies.
That's a really good point, actually, and that's something Simon and I were talking about list construction last night, and I said I think you might need 3 war beasts at this point level, just because of if you want to get value out of them, you want to commit your war beasts, obviously, and in doing so here, he has left Grissel effectively very vulnerable. One of the things, though, is that is quite a kind of like a high-level concept, especially if you're in a high-pressure situation like this game. So Tom might not immediately realize it. People have quite a bad habit of going, "Oh, I could just kill her battle group, then she'll die." It's not something that you immediately think of. He's going to have to be on the ball, I think, to see that.
Yeah, definitely. The other key thing here is Janissa looks like she might be able to slide up behind the Pyre Troll and pop down a wall in front of both beasts, which, if he does that, rather than protecting Grissel with it, the Bane Thralls obviously can't get the charges off, and that would I feel like that's a very good play. If he does that, then he can safely get work out of it and not worry about the Bane Thralls.
Simon, get those things towards the middle.
The Long Riders again are now... He's definitely playing the long game here. I think he's realised that the time is an issue, and he needs to have a quick turn and put the pressure on Tom to start clearing models out. Because by not making many attacks with the Waters, not really making any attacks with the Long Riders at all, the Krill Rows have just run up. He's definitely had a quicker turn, and he might be able to peg back some of this time advantage that he gave Tom in the first couple of turns.
So those Long Riders are miles and miles and miles and miles away from the Krillstone, which means that if Tartarus goes into that unit of pigs, gets his Thresher, makes say 3 or 4 Banes, creates them in front of the Bane Knights, clears off the other pigs. Those Banes get Sighting Touch. They go into the Long Riders. It's basically a one-shot, one-kill.
Yeah, I feel like that's game if that happens. If you lose the Long Riders before they get the value of attacks that they need to bring to bear in this matchup, he's going to find it very hard to come back from that.
Big spike. Yeah, that was a little bit odd. Testing? Alright, there we go. We just had a...
Testing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that wasn't too loud on anyone listening in headphones. If you've got burst eardrums, then I apologise.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. The mic seems to have gone overly sensitive all of a sudden. It was weird. Okay, we're back to normal now.
Alright.
Odd. I don't know what was up there.
Glitch in the system.
Yeah, whatever.
Alright. So, time is now on Tom. He is rolling fire. Looks like fire's gone out on Tartarus.
Hey, that's really good for Tom. Tartarus is such a great piece against trolls if they have single wood infantry.
And Hoofit did not go on those burrowers. And so those burrowers are in threat range of Tartarus to go and do his thing, which is going to be horrendous. The other thing there is he hasn't put Janissa's wall in front of the beasts. He has used it to put it in front of Grissel. And I feel that's a mistake. Do you feel he should go for the Long Riders here with the Tartarus Banes, or go for the beast and potentially get an assassination?
I think the Harrower might actually be able to get the beasts. So you could probably do a bit of both, because if you do that and then if you feet on top, it limits the counter attack a lot. See if you can deny the charges to the Warders and the Kill Warriors by feeding on the unit leaders. I'm not 100% sure if that's possible. I'd have to go look at the board. But it means that the Jack's armor, while it's not tremendous, it's still a Krigswar Jack. It's a much bigger issue, because if you can take out the Pyre Troll, and if you can deny charges, that's effectively losing 5 damage per charge attack. If you think about it in a mathematical point of view, and losing the Long Riders, if he gets even 3 of them, that's with Grissel's Long Riders, I expect to kill 2 to 3 models each on the feet turn, and then another 2 to 3 models each the turn after. That's he's effectively saving his entire flank if he can got the Long Riders before they get their charge off.
Yeah, and if he can somehow manage to get a feet stationary on the Long Riders while also going for the battle group with the Bane Thralls, by bringing that force to bear in the middle and not being able to bring the Long Riders over to support the following turn, will be a massive swing in the game. A massive swing.
One of the interesting things that I would just want to talk about, a lot of people say Goreshade3 is bad for trolls because he can stationary the Krillstone. The way the Krillstone actually works, it's the same as Shifting Stones. It's during this unit's activation you can pop the Krillstone, so you would actually need to stationary the entire unit. for that to happen. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but with no incorporeal up, it seems unlikely.
Yeah, very hard to pull off getting the whole unit stationary. So, good tech there, mate. Good tech for all those troll players out there that are struggling with the Goreshade3 matchup. Just remember that one. Billy Snakeshanks. He's got it all. He's got it all, ladies and gentlemen.
I've got snakes and I've got shanks. What more can you need?
And Huggus.
Just went to the table there and I was doing a bit of Dr. Tran for Tom Guan. Oh, Dr. Tran! Have you never seen it? It's internet sensation. I'm Dr. Tran! And well, they're both doing it at the table as well, so Tom's embracing the Asian heritage.
Yeah, Tommy has been calling Billy Birry the entire weekend. Oh, hey, Birry. So he's definitely on board. He loves it.
And cheery.
Birry and cheery.
All right, so the clock count at this stage is 30 minutes left for Simon, and Tom's got about 42. So
one of the things we were talking about there is by delaying the feet turn, he has had a very quick turn, and in doing so, I think he's pegged back some of that time advantage he lost early on. The one thing we talked about there, that Thresher from Tartarus can potentially create Banes that will get into his battle group, because both those beasts are at the front near each other. If he can kill the battle group,
if the battle group goes down, the game is probably over because Grissel can't survive a run.
The alternative is this is what we were saying. You could potentially get the Banes into the Long Riders, which is basically just as bad. Long Riders, I would expect that unit of Long Riders to probably kill about 20 infantry over the course of the game. Combined with going on the feet, do a bunch of damage, come back, go in again, and at that point you can't save them unless you have Hoofit available. But yeah, so it's really picking your poison at that point. And I mean, like it's potential that the dice explodes, and he just gets both. And at that point, he's totally out of the game. Well, warders don't have enough kind of throughput to murder enough Crick's infantry quickly enough.
Even with Grissel's feet.
Even with Grissel's feet, the lack of Storm Troll is going to come back to bite him there, I think. So it looks like there's a pretty precise measurement there.
Yeah, look, getting some precision here with the Tartarus charge into the.
I'm going to go get a bird's eye view here, Daniel, and I'll tell you how many he gets.
So it looks like he's going to get at least 3 or 4.
It's actually looking more like a 6.
6. 6 seems bad.
I'll just go check his arc.
We've got James Morehouse here with us now. How are you feeling, James?
Loser of the Iron Gauntlet. A little robbed, and definitely not definitely not bitter or sour. Oh, Billy. Definitely not sour. Definitely not bitter.
In other words, James is absolutely fuming about losing.
I got Bradigus to Scar at Mat 13 PS 20 against Def 16 Armor 18. So 2 attacks kills her. I needed 1 Bane's roll to die and beat back 1 other, and he made 4 toughs in a row, and I didn't get that. I got there with 1 attack.
Suck shit.
Yeah, I'm all about Bradigus going down.
Suck shit. The thing, we were talking about it before, but the positioning of the fact that Bradigus was in the middle of your table at the back edge and was able to get to Scar, who was 6 inches away from the table edge, is fucked. But anyway, no more Bradigus.
Like I say, it looks like he's got 5 or 6 picks here with this Thresher, and he hit all of them. So these tough rolls are huge, because these tough rolls aren't just dead pigs, these are Banes. So
5.
We kill 5. Oh man, this is going to be brutal. It's looking like he might be able to live the best of both worlds here.
Simon's just telling us it's fine. Mate, it's not fine.
So another pro troll tip here for any prospective Grissel1 players is you can actually see, even if your pigs aren't in melee, I often do this against Mad Dogs of War when my pigs stand out in front of my army. You can preemptively put Heroic Ballad on them, gives them Fearless for a round, so that if anything comes up that does cost terror,
nice,
they automatically pass the command check, and then in your turn you don't need to take another one because I've already passed it. So I presume Simon did something important with his Fell Call. It looks like he may actually put Hoofit on the Cruel Warriors, maybe, I'm not sure. Grissel isn't standing anywhere, Cacophony would be relevant, so I don't really know what he's up to there. But yeah, these Bane Knights are going to be absolutely devastating. If I were Tom, I would be putting them in front of those pigs, near those pigs, in such a way that they can get to the Long Riders to abuse Ghostly. I'm not 100% sure where his leader is, though, for the Bane Knight unit, so it's possible he has to create Thralls. And if that's the case, I would go for Ben's plan of hit the battle group.
The Thralls have already activated.
Okay, well in that case, surely he has to make Bane Knights. Is he putting thralls down? I'm not sure. Deno is going to go have a look.
It's all Bane Knights. He's putting down Bane Knights. But because of the leader not being at the front of the army, the position that he's not going to get as deep as he wanted. I think he's just going to take out the pigs and be satisfied with that. Just take the pigs off the table.
If he can protect Tartarus and keep Tartarus alive this turn, which if he feats, he's definitely able to do, then, you know, if he gets another one of those thrashers off, I think that's probably game. At that point, you know, you've created 10 points of models or something like that.
If Tartarus ever survives one thresh and gets to make a second one, the game is over. It's simple as that. You just...
Yeah, it's like Trent says, it's just such a huge swing in points. There's not really much you can do to come back from something like that in a matchup where you have a bunch of multi-win models. So, you know, it's like the Banes are coming into a target-rich, very saturated environment. Yeah, that's going to be really, really harsh for Simon if Tartarus can survive. And the thing is, looking at his army, the only models I can really see that could kill him would be any nearby crew warriors that can maybe get reach on him, assuming that he doesn't put models to block, which Tom absolutely should, or feet to stop those models getting there. And maybe the Pyrotroll and Grissel's gun, Fellcaller sprays, but you know, Tartarus is standing on a hill. That doesn't seem like a good plan either. Yeah, this could go very badly, very quick for Simon if the dice are even a little unkind. And those Long Riders are still out in the bloody flank. God's sake, Simon.
Fuck, I love.
Harrower picks 3. Harrower picks up 3 souls from his thresh. Harrower's threshed and picked up quite a few with his Infernal Machine Mat 8 swish. So Tom's board position here is pretty nice, thanks to that Thresher from Tartarus and the Thresher from the Infernal Machine Harrower. He's gonna take a big swing now. I think Simon made a mistake by not feeding last turn. It's looking that way now.
I think it's either not feeding or not jamming effectively in such a way that the Long Riders would have been able, like having a layer of jam to stop Tom's movement, then a layer of jam again in front of your models, or not even a jam, like a screen in front of your models to stop him getting to the high value targets. Now he's just going to be able to, he's cleared the jam. It's not something Cricks especially struggle with. There's a faction that are very strong at it. Models like Tartarus and the Harrower are a perfect example. And now he's going to get to push through onto the battle group, and any damage in the battle group is lethal against Goreshade3.
I feel like the burrows were the big mistake for me. Not what you said earlier, not pushing deep enough to get those back lines, stopped him from being able to get the crew warriors in there and really having that massive turn and being able to capitalise on that.
He played like a single unit, actually.
He needed to use his feet that turn. I think he needed to get. If he got to a point where he starts tipping it past Goreshade's ability to bring it back, like tip the needle past, then Tom has to spend his focus on trying to stay in the game, and that pulls into Simon's favour. Tom probably gets to buy a turn with the feet, but again, as I said, because the feet takes your own models away, it's counterproductive in the long game. So it's tough.
It's basically the definition, I think, of a tempo play, Goreshade's feet. And it's one of those things, like in the Iron Gauntlet format, I feel like you should be able to tech for this matchup, because Goreshade3 to me is the second scariest caster in Cricks as a troll player. So having something like a Winter Troll available makes it so much better, because it means you can walk Grissel up and actually abuse Cacophony in this matchup, and you just can't hear, because if he walks up to do that, she's going to get made stationary and murdered by anything.
It also plays into what you were saying about how you play your Long Riders centrally. By having the Long Riders centrally, being able to put the Winter Troll Animus on all your unit leaders to prevent them being able to get stationary, so you'll always have your orders available to you after Goreshade's feet, and that's massive. You need to have that.
Tom's just doing some work now, but I feel like the clock is now starting to get back to a point where maybe Simon's in front. Like he
hasn't feated yet.
Yeah. There's a lot of models, but Simon's feet's turn now, because he's losing so many models, it's not going to be that efficient. He's probably going to be able to motor through it fairly quickly, and it's going to get to a point where Tom's the guy who's making all the running with all the attacks and all the dice rolling, and maybe the time starts ticking in Simon's favour. I'm not sure.
The big thing here is where the Soul Hunters end up, and whether what the Waters can get into. If the Waters can get into the Jacks, then I think he's looking pretty good. Once the Waters get into that zone and she's behind them, it becomes very hard for Goreshade to be able to get anything onto Grissel, make her stationary, and potentially go for that assassination. And both those Waters are getting to that point now where they can kill the Jacks, get the Soul Hunters. The good thing that's happening with the tough lows, it is bringing all the Banes away from the centre of the table, which is allowing his Waters to focus on the battle group and the Soul Hunters and try and win the fight there, basically.
It feels like to me the way that Tom's deployed is he has conceded the scenario. I think the scenario is his method for winning. Those Banes will struggle to get into the zone and be relevant if Simon can clear the zone and get the point scoring started in his favour. And he did try to do that last turn. Like, the objective's not got much health left. Now he's basically got to kill 2 Jacks and a couple of bits and pieces to actually start the scoring. And that seems possible for Trolls with a Pie Troll on the table.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is, by creating that line of Burrowers, it's going to be hard for Tom to clear them out. He'll have to use the Bane Knights to clear them out, to try and get Bane Thrall charges through the lanes, like use the reach of the Bane Knights. And the Thralls are back to, okay, so he's basically not going to be able to get any volume of attacks onto the Creel Warriors and the Long Riders, I feel. And what he could potentially do here is, if he can use the feed attacks to clear the left-hand side of those Bane units, use the hoof it moves at the end of his turn to push the Creel Warriors up along the right-hand side of the zone, you basically stop the Bane Thralls from being able to get into the centre zone at all for a turn. You can kind of lock them out on the right-hand flank. Looks like the Bane Knights are just going for the pigs.
It just looks like he's just moving them around up the back there again, just conceding that distance. It feels like to me that Simon's looking very strong now.
Someone's just come in and asked Simon if he could get a model for him out of his bag so we can go play a casual game. Just asking to borrow a dozer and Smig in the middle of a Masters.
Simon's got plenty of time up his sleeve, mate. It's not the Iron Gauntlet finals or anything.
That's it. That's it.
Competitive performance right here.
No, it's only the semi-finals, mate. This is just like fun and games. Next round's the key one.
We love the nips.
We do love the nips.
But yeah, it is interesting. By not using all the Bane Knights there, he's basically conceded that Simon's still going to have a rather large feat turn. And I don't know if that's a deliberate ploy for the time aspect of it.
Do you know what it means? Next turn, Grissel walks forward and feeds, and those Bane Knights cannot get in the zone. They're too far away from the zone to be relevant. So if Simon has a good enough play here, like if he can kill those 2 Jacks and clear the zone, I think Simon wins this game.
Yeah.
His feat's devastating.
Have the Soul Hunters activated? Okay, well in that case, this is looking very good for Simon. With the Waters going in, Krillstone giving the buff for +1 strength, and the extra attacks from the feet, kill both those Jacks with 1 unit of Waters. They hoof it up to the edge of the zone, and basically, which I think you still don't use the +1 strength. I think you still use Deny the Incorp, use Spirit Chaser, because you can use hoof it after the Waters kill the Jacks to go right onto the edge of the zone. Nothing can then push through them. You've got the second unit of Waters in the middle of the zone, ready to clear it if you manage to clear the front unit of Waters, and you're still getting all the volume of attacks that you need onto the right flank where all the Banes are. So it's looking quite strong here for Simon.
I feel like one of the biggest mistakes Tom made here is he gave away his Blood Hag too easily. And one of the key pieces in this matchup, when there's 10 warders on the table, I think is the Harrower. And I feel like, sure, it gets some souls and things like that, but there's two Cabers there that are able to get onto that model. And 2 Cabers with Grissel1 will absolutely smash a Krigsjack on our feet turn. Okay,
it's very true.
He's just playing into Simon's hands here. Like he's given away the 2 Jacks. I think he's given them away.
He's just passed turn as well. So it looks like here with the Pie Troll still being alive, he can get the damage buff onto the Cabers. So the Cabers with the Pie Troll buff going into that Krigsjack with the extra attacks will, like I said, they'll smash that Jack. Then you've got the left unit of Waters by charging up that the Harrower. The left unit of Waters is probably in a position to get to that Harrower, which means the right unit of warders can dig deep, possibly towards the arc node that he has, or even the objective. And if he can get the objective and clear the zone, he's in an extremely strong position here.
Yeah, for sure. One of the other things I think probably worth mentioning is
does the Axa or the Impaler, does his throw just push? Does it need to crit to push?
No, it's crit smite.
Okay.
Crit smite.
So the Impaler could actually just throw one of the jacks out of the zone and make this very easy.
Yeah, so if that happens, he could, looks like he'll get 1 for killing the objective, probably 1 for controlling the zone. Or probably I think he'd dominate this turn. If you can get that, safely dominate.
If you feet, you can dominate.
Get Genesis Wall up there, get a whole sea of bodies in front of him, kill both the heavies jacks, and with 2 units of warders in the zone and no jacks available, it's hard to see Simon actually losing from here. So I think he's played a very cagey game, which is not something that I thought that he was going to do. I thought he would go in hard, try and use the feet to blow through as many models as possible. But by holding on to it, I think it's created uncertainty in what Tom wanted to do. It's probably not playing out how he saw the game going out. And anytime you can create uncertainty in your opponent's game plan, you're in a very good position. You're in an extremely good position.
I think Tom's main win condition here will be abusing Goreshade3's insane personal late game. If he can get the battle group down, then Goreshade can actually, this is quite hilarious, with Scything Touch he can walk up to a unit of warders, attack each single one of them individually. So, like attack first warder, second warder, third warder, fourth warder, whatever, as many as he's got in his reach range, stationary them all, and then ride by backwards. The warders actually can't do anything to him. I know this from personal experience. I've had that done to me. It's not very fun. It's one of the main reasons I started considering the winter control very strongly for this matchup.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I feel like if he does that, though, that's all well and good, and that's a great way to do that to the warders, but the problem that he's facing here is that the warders are going to get it to do what they want to do first. Like, they're going to get a charge off. It's on Grissel's feet turn. I mean, by holding onto the feet till the warders get in, he's put himself in a very strong position to clear the jacks. He'll lose a unit of warders to Goreshade doing that, but he's still got a second unit of warders that Tom, I think, just can't deal with.
Calamity on the Harrower. So, and probably going to camp 2 and feeding.
Yeah.
And feeding. How many warders do you feel that he can get onto him from the left unit?
2.
So two warders from the left unit with Calamity?
It's 4 power 14s.
Yeah,
13s.
So they, I feel, will kill it?
Maybe? Combined with all the other kind of random jank that's around there, like even things like War Beasts, like Pyre Trolls and stuff like that, or the Impaler or whatever. You get your free feet attack as well. A lot of people forget that works on War Beasts, stuff like that. There's I think you can Grissel1 definitely kill both of those jacks and probably put a serious dent in the infantry behind the pigs. If I was Simon, I would feet which rallies the pigs, and I would just burrow those pigs. They're in the way. Yep. There's not, they're going to take free strikes moving anywhere. So if you burrow those, then the Long Riders suddenly have free reign to go absolutely careening through those banes.
The key thing here is the Long Riders are not in the feet when she's popping it. Now, if they're not in there, does that mean they do not receive the hoof it move at the end of the turn?
Absolutely. What if you're not going to get your Long Riders in the feet, what's actually smarter to do is do them first, then walk up and feet on top of the Long Riders after they've walked into it. Or even if you don't get the feet, you can put hoof it on them at least.
Yeah. The key thing is that they need hoof it, so you can go in, dig deep, pull back away from the rest of the banes, and also to spread out as well. Because often when you're charging in against, when you're large base charging small base infantry, you end up being quite clumped up. And that plays into Goreshade's hands with the feet being able to maybe stationary 2 or 3 models with one target.
For sure.
So if you can get charge in first, would have been the right play there. Use hoof it on them or even the feet moves to pull back, spread out a bit, and really threaten the next zone. But, I mean, as it is, he's going to clear the zone here. He's going to kill 2 jacks. He can probably use the hoof it moves on the Creel Warriors to really block those banes, and also the no orders from Cacophony to stop Tom being able to get any sort of weight of numbers into that zone, which makes it... I mean, Goreshade has to feet next turn. He will stationary to try and just get some models into the zone, but with the amount of pieces that Simon has left, I'm not sure it'll be enough to pull it back.
I think that one of Tom's main victory conditions now is he's got to look for the assassination.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to say was, do you feel it's the right play here to not make attacks to the beast and just pull them back? Because I noticed that the Impaler aimed and tried to make a slam, and with the assassination obviously being the main threat range right now, or the threat right now, I feel like pulling the beast back for your transfer targets and not allowing him to put any valuable attacks into them would have been the right call. Do you agree with that?
I would definitely put one of them back. But bear in mind, with the feet moves, he can actually move backwards. on the Warbeasts.
Grissel's feat, amazing. I thought it only worked on infantry, better than I thought, and it was already amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'd probably put the beast into the jacks. What I would try and do first is put all the infantry in, see if they can knock out the movement system. That way your Mat 5 Warbeast less of an issue. So you can walk up, start punching them, and hopefully get those jacks down.
Is it worth, with the Pyre Troll, just trying to get a lucky scatter or a lucky hit on Goreshade to set him on fire?
I don't know. With trolls, it's not like Legion where setting a caster on fire is a huge issue, because suddenly a few boosted POW 12s from like some angels or whatever, and one more Ravagor shot and your caster dies. With trolls, you have to work very hard to get attacks on the opposing warcaster. So what I think is probably more valuable is setting key solos on fire.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. If you can get the Warwitch Siren stay on fire, so it stops things like them being able to go in. There's a Warwitch Siren running to engage a unit of warders and then saying, do you want to take 3 strikes? I will shadowbind you when you go past. Is extremely powerful. So being able to stop that is great.
I definitely agree with that. One of the things I was thinking is Goreshade got his Spell Vortex, surely, from... In fact, did you see that? He got Spell Vortex? So it means Goreshade effectively has, 7 focus plus his free spell next turn. And Grissel's only camping 2. So where's Simon might get baited into trying to get really, really greedy with the Cacophony aura here, right? So Goreshade can't Siphon Bolt her to death next turn. It's not possible. He doesn't have an Arc Node, and Cacophony stops spells within 12 inches of her on her feet turn, right? However, if he goes, aha, I am very clever, and I'm stopping Goreshade from spell assassinating me by moving up here, it's possible like Tom will just have Death Ride, and Goreshade will just charge and kill Grissel. She's only camping 2. And he can walk Dara out of the bubble to use Death Ride.
Yeah, I think Simon is aware of that by virtue of the fact that he only just has Grissel in the zone.
Oh, he hasn't finished his feat moves.
True that. Do you feel she'll walk away from the wall, though, the safety of the wall?
It's one of those things that he could get, like, it's I've lost games to this, certainly, where you get kind of greedy with Cacophony.
It does nothing for you if you're stationary.
It's true.
This is true, but it also means if you use where the wall is, if he uses the feat move on Janissa to back up slightly and then puts Grissel, say, another half inch away from the wall, a 3-inch AoE won't clip her from a model being base to base on the other side of that wall.
It's possible that Goreshade can just charge and boost the hit.
This is also true. One of the crazy things about Goreshade, just stationary on his weapon. Not crit, just stationary.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And he gets Mat 9 on the charge as well because he's a cavalry model.
It's one of the things, when this book was released that Goreshade came out in, people labelled him as boring to start off with and said he was no good.
Not this guy either.
The 2 guys to my left and right, sorry for what he is. He is a phenomenal caster. One of the best recursion games going around. Just like through Mockerying guys back, Mockerying Soul Hunters back for continual charges is extremely strong.
Yeah, for sure.
And fun caster to play.
Yeah, he's sweet. Really like that guy. I don't know. I think the game is at the moment out of Tom's hands. However, one thing I will say is, once again, Simon refuses to commit these Long Riders. I think this might actually be us seeing the knock-on effect of him having them out in the flank for so long. There's no high-value targets for them to go in on. If they had been where... Can you imagine if they just swapped places with the Cruel Warriors right now? The number of options that unit would have had available to them. You could have slammed over the Jacks. You could have slammed, Tartarus, slammed Dara, slam everything. You slam the world. That's what Long Riders are great for.
I feel like this is one of the turns where he couldn't get the Long Riders in deep enough, but what he could have done is pull rush and slam his own models, like you were just saying. So he probably can't slam too many of their models, but slamming your own models and doing that first as well, like recognizing that they were outside the feet, doing that first and then being able to get one running over to there so you get the hoofed moves. You can tell you've played with Long Riders a lot. Yeah. You seem to have all the key strats. Key one for anyone out there playing Grissel with Long Riders, according to Billy Snakeshanks, keep them central because they are extremely important and they will win you the game.
Yeah. If you're playing with Grissel1, her army, if you put them in a Grissel1 list, her army tends to just revolve around them, like even more than if you have Mulg in the list. And it's one of the reasons actually I'm not that big a fan of Long Riders and Mulg because they both really want Hoof It with her. So whatever. Anyway.
But with the damage buff from the Pyre Troll, the threat range that they bring from the centre of the board as well, putting them in basically the back edge of the zone, anything that your opponent puts in the zone, they can potentially kill.
Or just slam out.
Yeah, or slam out as well. And it opens up, and that's the key one is there, it opens up the scenario game where if you have a target where Trolls being what they are, being quite slow, like your Waters might not be able to charge something on the other side of the zone, but those Long Riders can slam it out. and in doing so it opens up angles where you only need to kill the things that are closer to you. You can get up on scenario, you can use the hoof it moves from the feet on long riders to pull back and do it again, jam with your single infantry, and you just got this, it's like a revolving door of like pieces going up, slamming things, pulling back with hoof it.
Yep.
And she plays it a very interesting hit and run game you can, which is something I think fairly unique to Trolls.
Yep, absolutely. The only other cast that comes close to doing something like that is Doomshaper 2 with Refuge. But Grissel's ability to do it on her entire army in that one turn, it's like playing against Veil 1 with infantry.
And I've played a lot of L1 and that feat as well, same with Thagros 2, phenomenal for that. Anytime you can dig deep, hit hard, and pull back outside of threat range is an extremely powerful ability in this game. And the fact that Grissel does it while also stopping spells and orders and also giving them an extra attack in their activation, it's phenomenal. And fearless.
Yeah, she's just Grissel1, as in my opinion, she's the best caster in Trolls, and that's simply because she does it all. Like, so, she is just phenomenal. Love her.
Interesting question here. Does Goreshade have Pathfinder?
Yes, Ghostly.
Ghostly. Okay, cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Chad from New Zealand Minis rated Grissel1 as the best caster in Trolls, and I find it hard to disagree.
I think it's very hard to disagree with that. All the things that she brings to the table, she brings the hit and damage buff with Calamity, she brings hit and run, extra attacks, she does it all. Stopping orders is an extremely underrated ability in this game. You don't see it very often. Well, there's a lot of things that stop spells, but there's not too many things that stop orders, and it's not till you play against that with an infantry army you realise how much to skew things. It's not only the fact that you lose the extra damage die from not being able to charge, it's also the fact that those guys that were in the middle ranks that would normally be able to get in there don't get in there anymore without the extra 3 inches of movement. So you lose damage on the ones that are there, you lose volume of attacks, and when you're playing a list that has pieces like Long Riders and Warders that are under a Krillstone, it just plays into her hands massively.
Absolutely. Yep, I think we're swinging her into the late game here, and don't get me wrong, Goreshade3 has a phenomenal late game, like absolutely magical, but I don't think he can compete when there's still 2 units of Warders and a unit of Long Riders on the table. That's
the game is going to go to time, and it's probably going to be Simon who's timing out, because this turn's going to take a long time.
The key one here for me is what happens with his feet move from Grissel. If he's aware of the assassination threat, pulls her back from the wall and then jams her around as well and keeps the Warders in front of her. If he can stop the assassination threat, then I feel like he can clear the zone relatively well. How are we looking from a time situation?
So clock count now is Simon on 22 minutes and Tom Guan on 28 minutes.
That's actually quite good considering that Simon is in the middle of quite an extensive feat turn. He's activated the Krill Warriors, he's activated the Long Riders, he's had 1 unit of Warders going in. I think he's doing the 2nd unit of Warders now, so it's only 6 minutes down. If he clears the zone and gets 3 points here, did he kill the objective?
We'll find out in a second. Leaps his bird's eye view.
No, it definitely has. Oh, no,
Objective's still in play.
The objective's still in play, so it looks like he really needs, for my mind, to be able to get onto the objective so he can get to 3 points this turn, and if he was able to do that, then the time becomes a non-issue, because all he has to do is clear the zone one more time and he wins the game.
Yeah.
And with the time situation being what it is and how much models are left on the table, you really have to have a very clear victory method in mind when you're playing 75-point games, because your usual method of just grinding through your army is a lot harder at 75 points. You're 25 more points and you've got 12 extra minutes.
Yeah.
You're deploying on the clock, so you're spending quite a bit of those 12 extra minutes just working out how to get those extra 25 points. A 33% increase, 50% increase on your army size. It takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point, Ben, actually.
Yeah, so you have to be very cognizant of how you're going to win this game, and from the way it's poised at the moment, scenario is definitely the option for Simon. And I think Tom will be thinking that it's either keep throwing pieces into the zone and hope he times out, or if Simon does get up on scenario, he has to go for the assassination.
Well, Tommy G still has his feet, and that's a turn where Simon is still going to have to activate all his stuff and do things with it, because if he doesn't, Tom can actually pull the game back attritionally. Like, giving an army full of weapon masters 2 turns to swing on all your multi-unit models doesn't seem like a good idea. So it's not like Simon can skip the turn.
And this is where the Long Riders not digging deep to kill those Banes is really going to come back to hurt him, because once he uses that feat and becomes stationary, the Bane Thrall is going to have a field day, and it'll mean that he'll be able to then, I think as it stands now, he could probably get 2 or 3 of the Long Riders, like the front Long Riders stationary,
the back ones will not be able to charge.
Bear in mind they're a bit to move backwards with. Oh no, wait, no.
No, because they did not get the feet, so they will not be moving backwards. That is where they are going to end up. So those long riders, I think you'll find, will be stationary, which will severely limit. The front ones won't do anything. The back ones are blocked in. So the Bane Thralls can pretty much ignore them at that stage, I feel, or kill the front ones maybe, jam them a little bit.
Why not kill them, yeah.
Get to the zone, start putting pressure on the zone, because if you also stationary the waters, then you're in a position now where he's still got enough quality attacks that he can bring to bear, or if he can stationary the right pieces, he can then get to the beasts and start trying to scalpel things out.
I feel like Simon's Grissels, she should actually be behind where the Pirate Troll is right now, towing that corner of the zone. If she was towing that corner of the zone, she would be threatening so much more with the Cacophony bubble. As is, I mean, what does it even get? Like a super cool trick for getting around Cacophony, you can Vengeance back out of it with Bane Knights.
Very
also,
good tech.
It's model unit, which means, if it catches one model, the whole unit can't get orders, but Tom can just kill the one model or whatever that's in the bubble, and his whole unit suddenly gets orders.
Yeah, and that's massive. I feel like with Simon having not killed the objective this turn and him not being able to dominate, the correct play here is to walk Grissel away from the wall, outside the zone, and outside Goreshade's personal threat range. Because there's no... The Cacophony as it stands is he's not getting anything of importance anyway, so there's no need to be in the zone and there's no need to be in threat range of Goreshade's assassination.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think you want to. Yeah, I don't think you want to risk it with Grissel. It doesn't, like, if you're ahead traditionally, why take the risk?
Yeah. And see, one of the things Simon's doing here is he's moving the waters up, but he's trying to box the Jack in. And in doing so, he's placing them all so close base to base that one good feet model will stationary 3 or 4 waters. And that's horrible for Simon right now. If that happens, Tom can swing this game attritionally right back. He's right back into it.
That's potentially 6 attacks, or 8 attacks with Heroic Ballad.
Yep. And the other thing is as well, it's also no free strikes if he feels he can get to targets of value behind those waters. So you remove the element of them being jammed as well. So you could go for that Pyre Troll, you could go for that objective, not worry about the free strikes. The Bane Thralls are then behind the waters and we'll get free charges on them the next turn, or potentially ignore them again and just go for Grissel.
Yeah, I think at this point the most valuable model, because he's chewed through all the light infantry, I think at this point the most valuable model for Mockery of Life, Mockery of Life. Mockery of Death.
They're dead.
Yeah, Mockery of Death is Bane Thralls, actually. I think with his free spell from Arcane Vortex, Eldritch Vortex, Arcane Storm, whatever it's called.
Maybe Arcane something. It's definitely Arcane something.
He can bring back 4 Bane Thralls. 4 Bane Thralls that have tough checks on a turn where you get no orders to dig deep, because you want to bring those models back. Spell Vortex, that's what it's called.
Spell Vortex, there we go.
Vortex. You want to bring those models back outside of threat range. That's much easier when there's no orders, no charging. So yeah, I think Tommy G, if he can get good stationaries off and use it almost like the way Eden Negra uses her feet to set up the charges, we might be able to see a comeback here, especially because he's up on time. Yeah,
definitely. I know Simon has done very well to not fall behind on time. Considering he went first, I think you'll find there's probably about an 8-minute discrepancy in the time when they started. So when Simon just finished his turn. So time-wise, they're probably tracking fairly evenly. He's done well to pull it back, but he's about to lose the Long Riders for not much return. And it really just happens with the feet targets. If he gets the waters, then we can see a very big swing in the game here, and Grissel might find it hard to come back from.
Absolutely. I'm just going to go and double check with Rob Shepard to see if Simon actually did pop his feet there, because that turn was a lot shorter than I thought it would be, all things considered.
No, he definitely popped his feet because all his beasts and units moved at the end of the turn.
Okay, I actually, for the benefit of the audience listening, I actually can't see the table right now because Big Dano is living up to his name.
Yep. Right now. Big Dano is taking up a large amount of space, not just through he's put on a couple of inches lately, through the biceps, through the guzzer, 4 inches on the chin. You can see it all over Twitter, but he is blocking everyone's view, half the convention's view of the final table. So
I think it's actually a little hypocritical considering how mad he gets when he doesn't get his views. You know what I mean?
The man loves his views. Don't take me views, you can't.
Stop stealing my views.
If I can take my views, I'll cut you.
So I've just had a very close look at the game, and the time situation is going to fall down for Simon. It's 17 minutes remaining. Tom has 28 minutes remaining.
Okay.
And I think that the way the game pans out from here is Tom just rushes him and Simon times out.
Yeah, what we were talking about is we feel that with a couple of good feet targets, because he can mockery 4 times thanks to the spell vortex, if you can get some good feet targets on the waters.
Yes.
Yeah, so the Harrow lived. So if you can
Both jacks lived.
That's horrendous rolling or choosing of attacks there. I'm not quite sure what happens there, but with Goreshade being able to mockery some Bane Thralls back, use those as your feet targets to station the Long Riders and also the Waters. He's going to do extremely well this turn. Knowing that both jacks lived, this game is definitely in Tom's favour.
I feel like Simon must have mismanaged his abilities there. You said he got Calamity off on the Harrower? Yep. So that puts the Cabers up to post 17 with 2 swings.
It looks like he only got 2 Cabers in there. And the one thing that you guys aren't accounting for is Daryl Wraith is standing just behind the objective in range of everyone.
Okay. So back to pound 15. So that's, what's that, like 15,
Minus 5.
15 plus about 4. So it's about 20-ish damage from most of the Cabers. Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see it. I feel like Simon probably could have
had the Waters there as well. So with the Waters being there too, I feel like it's very important to obviously kill off these Creek Jacks, because they're the things that, especially with the Harrower having Thresher, you really need to kill those things off. That was the turn where you need to go in, cripple those heavies, and start really getting up on scenario.
Especially in such a narrow zone, the Harrower's Thresher is
Huge. So,
yeah,
and the feet. So if he can make those Waters stationary, and the Harrower, it might have lost an arm, but if it's just stationary, just hitting all of them, bruising damage on a few of them, it's got 2 or 3 turns to do it. So yeah, big plays there. So I'm not sure if the dice abandoned Simon there. I'm sure we'll find out after the game, but that's a very big swing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it boggles my mind that thing didn't die. It's only armor 18. There's a Chronicler right there. He had 2 War Beasts available. One of them has reach. I don't think there's any excuse for that thing living past the turn.
Yep. I think Troll Gang's very important there.
Yeah, it's one of the main reasons that I will always advocate is to take at least 1 reach beast with Grissel1, so that you can have it walk up, give out, charge of the trolls, and then walk backwards with a different move. So you're not actually trading the beast away. And I mean, I guess he went for the crit smite out the zone. Did you say?
No, he didn't. He shot the Impaler at the Arc Node. What I think, Simon did miss his first water charge attack. That might have been the difference between that thing living and dying.
Yeah.
Because it's
a
not got many
high
boxes
damage
left.
Attack, that one.
Yeah, it's big damage attack, and to miss the charge attack, pretty big.
Yeah.
Daryl's positioning from Tom is sublime there. He's managed to tag everyone to protect the jacks enough that the attack value of everything just dropped.
Yeah. And that's where, Billy, what you just said with the Troll Gang becomes very important. Being able to... I hadn't thought about that. Being able to use the Impaler to walk up, trigger Troll Gang, and then walk back with the feet is an extremely powerful ability. Ties in yet again to her hit and run abilities. Being able to stack with Calamity a +4/+4 swing on something with Waters going, or potentially Long Riders, is massive. Or Cabers.
Yeah, +6 from with the Powerful Animus, and +8 if you include Forever, +9 with the Cruel Stone.
+9 damage, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wow, that is insane. So you could have a Long Rider, which is, I think, base power 14.
Long Riders are 13, but they have powerful charge. They go to 15. No, there's 12. Sorry, they go to 15 with Cruel Stone and stuff.
So 12 base, go to 14 with the +9 swing. You can have Long Riders charging at PS 23.
Yeah. Or you can have Cabers at power 24.
And this is not hard to engineer. The Cruel Stone is in that area. The Pyre drop buff is just an animus. The only thing you really need to do is get the Impaler in a position where he can walk up and get reach on the models without blocking anything else off. And again, that just comes down to practice, like positioning. As Dennis said earlier on, with medium-based models, it all comes down to positioning. Like, if you can leave the lanes open, you recognise what the key pieces are that you need to get in there, leave those lanes open, and Trolls just stack fucking buffs like a motherfucker. Like,
yeah, that's it. It's why I was thinking. Why I said during our analysis of the last turn that those 2 Cabers should be able to just kill that Harrower. Because if he had applied it correctly and gotten them both up to power 24, both of those swing at plus, even with Dara, +4 on the Harrower.
I just got like the best massage of my life, but no other than Andrew Hayden. Hayden, you got magic fingers, buddy. Where'd you learn your skills?
Look, lots of TOing work. You learn these things.
Yeah, wow,
you know,
mate.
Players happy.
Mate, I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling great. Had a few drinks last night. It's all forgotten now. Whew, I'm up and about.
Good stuff there. Good stuff. Truly insightful commentary. Love it.
Oh, great work. What can you say when you get just a random walk-by massage? Everyone should receive drive-by massages once in their life.
I think that's the first thing.
What's happening in the game, Ben?
I'll pass it over to Trent. You haven't been talking much.
Thank you. So we're just having a bit of a close look at the table now. Tom's just jamming. He's just jamming everything up, and it's just going to come down to time, I think. He's got a four turn advantage, a 4-minute time advantage at the moment. Simon's lost 2 long riders. He's lost most of his Quill Warriors. He's still got all his waters, but the assassination is off the table. I don't think this game is going to time out. Someone's going to time out, and
nobody's going to win fast enough. Simon needed to score that turn to have enough time to win the game.
Yep. So I feel like what happens now is Tom just waits.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if Tom plays as long a game as he can, he has the distinct advantage, apparently, in this format of going second, which means that Simon will time it first. Frankly, I'm not quite sure what else I can say about that. Simon, I feel, had to manage his long riders and feet turn more appropriately to burn through this infantry swarm much faster than he did. And as a result, he's really paying for it now. I think, he's still in a strong enough place attrition-wise that you could pull this game back. Trolls are fantastic in the late game, but I just don't think he has the time to do it.
He just doesn't, and it's a shame because he'll probably look back at the game and be watching it and thinking, there was a lot of time, a lot of time I spent that I wasn't doing much. So Tom is about to ship the clock, I think, after moving the Wither Shadow Combine.
Yep.
Just still got a 2-minute advantage, which is probably enough. Depends how, because Tom's got a lot of attacks left to make next turn. So it depends if he tries to win or if he just recognises that the time is the problem.
I think the point here will be try and get as much damage into the battle group as he can so that Grissel is permanently in danger. Try and burn off the Long Riders and the Cabers, because those are the models that are capable of killing the most infantry. And after that, I just don't think Simon's going to be able to burn through it all.
So Goreshade's activated, Mockery's 3 times, has not feated. So interesting play there. By not feeding on the waters, he's basically letting Simon have another turn with potential of the extra attacks from Grissel to clear out the jacks that are in the zone, get quality attacks on the objective, and get 3-0 up on scenario. So it's an interesting play from Tom. Is he saving it for the assassination?
I think he wants to keep it in the bag for if it gets down to a few minutes left and he's under pressure, maybe he's got the assassination in the bag. That's probably what he's doing.
That's Tom Guan's wheelhouse. He loves to kill people's casters.
So Tom's past turn. It's 17 minutes to Simon, and Tom has 19 minutes left.
Simon just needs to motor here. I mean, if Simon plays quick, 20 minutes, it's a third of a game. A normal game, it's a third of a game. If he plays quick, he's still in this.
Yeah.
But it's starting to get against him.
Yeah, he just needs to focus down on how he's going to win this game, which is scenario. Like, the pieces are there for the scenario win. The Long Riders not being stationary can still get quite a good volume of attacks through impact attacks and charging through. So he's definitely still got the pieces on the table here. He just needs to be cognizant of what's important and, take care of business. So both of my co-commentators here are now blocking up the table, and I cannot see a single thing. So I'm going to commentate the back of Billy's head, slightly unkempt, beard definitely going out to the side. Oh, and he's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Robert and I were just having a little discussion, comparing facial hair, some beard sculpting tips.
Nice.
Good stuff.
What do you feel of Tom's attempt at the mustache?
I think Tom is, living up to the Asian stereotype where the facial hair comes in later. Like the kind of traditional, doesn't need to shave very much. And maybe he's just not used to it. Maybe he hasn't quite adapted yet.
Has a certain whimsical quality to it, but it's getting there.
I think it suits Tom Guan's kind of general appearance, or not necessarily appearance, just the way he conducts himself. He's very
aloof. Aloof would be the word.
Aloof, happy-go-lucky. He just kind of does his own thing, and I think that's fine. It's clearly not something that bothers him, and I think that's great. Good for you, Tom.
Yes. No, it should be applauded.
Absolutely.
We've just killed Iacos. We now have an inert Leviathan.
Massive.
Do inert Leviathans contest?
No, they do not. Inert Jacks do not contest the zone, so I believe he is down to an Arc Note, the objective, the other Jack, which is mostly crippled, and 2 Bane Thralls in the zone. Now, if he can clear those...
1 Bane Knight and a Siren as well.
sirens are annoying.
The sirens are annoying. Is firing off a speculative rift and trying to boost the correct play to get rid of it there?
Probably the Pyre Troll's the better of the two options there.
The Pyre Troll is good. I think it's lost. I was just looking at Worm. It's lost a system, so Simon better remember to heal or regen with it. I can't remember which system it was. I think it was body. I guess there's a Caber there. He might be able to slam something into her.
Yeah.
Alternatively, no, that Lone Rider is jammed.
The Cabers have momentum, momentum. So momentum does not slam a large base. It knocks it down.
He would need to run one of his own medium bases in front of her and then slam that over. I feel like if he can use the Krillstone...
Going for Daryl here. If he gets to take out Daryl and get rid of the aura, that'd be massive, but it's unlikely to happen.
It is unlikely. Is Dara not being in the zone? I feel like that is the incorrect play. He needs to be all in here on... Unless those models couldn't attack anything else this turn, I feel like going for Dara is not the right play. You need to be making sure you can get those 3 control points this turn and then work on those other pieces.
Absolutely. I think the only excuse for going for Dara is if he goes for the crit smite with the Impaler, and if he can maybe smite back, which will... if he can reduce the amount of models that are being affected by Beyond Death, that might be worth it, but looking at where the board is, it doesn't seem worth it. It looks like, there's a forest behind Dara there, and he gets slammed half anyway because he's a larger base than the Impaler. Yeah. I would be putting any attacks into Dara here. I'd be clearing this up.
As it is, the objective's been killed by the waters. It looks like... Was that the Warwick sign that just went down?
No, that was one of the Wither Shadow Combine. He's tried to put some attacks into the objective, but Goreshade actually stationaried that water just with his sword.
Okay, so the objective has not been killed?
The objective is still active. It has 9 boxes left.
That's another thing. With that stationary warder and with that Leviathan, that zone is basically a parking lot for charge lanes. There's, just with the fact that the infantry have to charge in straight lines, it means that it's much harder for Simon to actually get the lanes he wants. It means he has to advance, which, coupled with Beyond Death, really reduces the overall output of the Troll army, especially if Tom has been smart enough to not trigger Battle Driven unnecessarily.
Definitely with that one. Although, if he's hits him with his stationary attack, it's power 15, I believe.
I'm thinking about the other unit.
Oh, the other unit, definitely. Now, someone's run the Krillstone out hard on the left flank. Why do you think he's done that?
I'm not sure, honestly. There's no...
Maybe Goreshade has occultation on himself. Maybe he's trying to deny that and then shoot him with the pyre and
then the Rat 4 and he's in a forest.
Sure, but maybe he's just giving himself an option for next turn.
Well, like, he's... At best, he needs 2 turns to win this game. 1 turn this turn to clear the zone to get to 3 with the objective dead, and then once more to dominate. So running the Krillstone away from the rest of his army, which is going to need to survive to help him clear the zone next turn, I feel I don't want to say it's a bad play, but I feel like it might be the incorrect play.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. What I'd be looking at doing here is getting clearing, kind of pushing into the zone using Janissa's wall and the Stone Scribe Bearers or some random support models to make it so that Goreshade with his reach cannot actually reach over the wall, which would allow me to put Cacophony onto the Soul Hunters and the Bane Thralls and the Bane Knights if Grissel was on the right hand side of the zone, which means that Tom actually can't run his units.
The AoE has just deviated onto the Siren, the Arknode and the Bane Knight, so he's going to try and boost damage to kill...
Nipples 19 minutes.
No.
Sorry. Tom 19 minutes. Nipples 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Alright, so the game is getting down to the knife edge here. So the scenario win is where it's at here. So, has he killed the Warwick Siren? It's a crucial piece, this one.
No.
Siren has survived. So the amount of attacks he's going to be able to get onto that Siren, probably not a huge amount from here. The Power Troll was the one that you needed to get it done. But what you were saying before with the reach over the wall is actually a very important point. By placing the wall down at a position where Grissel can be in the zone, but more than 2 inches away from the far edge of the wall.
Crit smite on the Harrower, so he doesn't have to be slammed out of the zone. And
looks like it'll hit that Soul Hunter. But with the reach over the wall, Goreshade being a large base, you can position it such that he will not be able to position himself over the wall, and he can't attack from behind the wall, so you can be completely safe against his melee assassination. If you have Cacophony up, then you're safe against the spell assassination.
Sniper Bolt's range 10, and Cacophony's only range 9.
That is a problem.
That's one of the issues with leaving the wall, but see, Grissel, at this point in the game, she's got Calamity on the Harrower. So all I would do with Grissel, I was
just been wrecked from the crit smite, the slam, does 4 dice damage and has knocked it and killed it.
Did it hit that Soul Hunter?
Did not kill.
Did not kill, but the Soul Hunter is knocked down, which is actually quite key because that's one of the pieces that would normally try and get back into the zone.
Okay, well, what I would be trying to do here with Grissel, my next turn would be Camp 5. Camp 5, put up Cacophony, don't die, and deny orders.
I don't know. Uneasy.
Yeah. My go-to would be keep Grissel alive, get Cacophony out in as obnoxious a place as I could. It looks like Simon is trying to purchase the board space there, push up the zone, and Grissel can hopefully Cacophony and run around.
Yeah.
I don't see it. With camping 5, you should, without casting any spells in Goreshade's control area, you only have 7 focus to assassinate you with. You should be fine camping that much Fury.
Yeah. So it looks like he has managed to clear the lane here for the Krill Warriors to charge in. Now what he's done here is he's actually charging the Caber up first at one of the Krills. Now I feel like if he'd run one of the Krills in first and try to slam the Caber, or slam that Krill Warrior with the Caber over the Warwick Siren, knocking down the node as well, probably the better play than just trying to hit it with the Caber.
Absolutely. And to kind of compound that, if he'd done this perhaps in a slightly different order than from the models on the left, he would actually have been able to knock that model down. Oh no, I suppose he needed to get the crit smite to get the Harrow out of the way.
Yeah,
so never mind.
he needed the Harrow out of the way to open up this lane, and he did very well with that, but now...
Oops, I just rolled an 8 to hit the arc node with the Caber, slammed it into the objective and killed it, and is now rolling on the objective.
It's only a power 7 or 8 depending if they have the Krills up on the objective. So
But the important thing is there, he's killed the Arc Node. The last thing that he needs to do here is he needs to kill the Warwick Siren. Now looking at the table, he might be able to get one of the Long Riders in through the Bane Thralls, but it will require some... actually, it's going to be hard. He's going to struggle to get the Warwick Siren. There's not a huge amount left that can get into it. Looks like he's going for it with the second unit of Waters, charging into that Warwick Siren. So needing 8s to hit. Not sure if they got the second attack from Grissel this turn, but if he can clear that, he has effectively cleared out the zone, I feel. There's one Bane Knight up in the back corner.
It's looking like Simon's running quickly out of ranged attacks. I know he has Saxon Auric in his list. Where's that guy running? Did you see Saxon?
Saxon's in the back right-hand corner of the zone behind the Waters.
Oh, it looks like he's probably already activated then.
Yes. So getting that last Bane Knight is going to be tough. And next turn, I think next turn definitely has to be the turn when Goreshade feats to lock it down, get a whole bunch of models in the zone, and I'm not sure Simon can do what he needs to do to clear the zone 2 times and win the game by scenario without clocking out.
Yeah, I think it's at the point where to clear that Bane, he's going to need to use Janissa with Rockhammer, or he's going to need to use Grissel. And neither of those are options you want, because they're both pretty integral to keeping your caster alive against Goreshade3.
Definitely. I feel like using Grissel is probably the correct call there, as you can still use Janissa for that wall tech we talked about.
Yeah, but even then, her spray's only range 8, Rift is only range 8, she's going to have to get so close to that Bane Knight, and then at that point, where can you put the wall that Goreshade can't potentially get a lane because he has Ghostly? The distance is huge.
It's a very good point. It's just... Again, like we talked about at the start, the time involved in playing a 75-point game, you have to be very clear about how you want to win this game and go for it from the start, because you just don't have enough time to grind through an army like you would at 50 points.
Yep, absolutely. This is yet another one of those things. If those Krill Warriors were Long Riders, they have the reach to get to the back of that zone, with the extra speed. I feel like that's if Simon ends up not being able to clear that one Bane Knight, that's probably the tactical, strategic mistake that cost them.
The Long Riders.
Simon's missed out a few attacks on the objective here that may be able to have killed the objective. Like Simon and that Bane Knight are still in the zone, so it's not relevant.
No, and his past turn having not cleared the zone. Well, doing this time for Chronicle now, but yeah, so he hasn't managed to kill the objective, he hasn't cleared the zone. He's got no control points, and it's looking like Tom's probably got about a 10-minute advantage on him. I think Simon's got maybe 7 or 8 minutes left.
Simon has 5 minutes and 40 seconds.
5 minutes and 40 seconds.
19 minutes.
Okay, so it's very much up against Simon now. He needs to clear the zone twice. Goreshade still has the feet up his sleeve, so he'll be out of stationary models next turn, run things into the zone, and...
It goes in Simon's favour because it means he's not going to be
spending time activating them.
It's true, but it's going to mean he won't be able to clear the zone twice to get the win that he needs. It also gives Goreshade time for the Bane Thralls to round and get towards Grissel. He's basically the attacks that he does have. He needs to do a lot with, and it's going to take him too much time.
The Long Riders should have just ran, as far as I'm concerned, this turn. They should have ran to the zone by attacking the Bane Knights. It's giving him vengeance moves. It's giving him more attacks.
If I was Tom here, I would go, okay, Sam doesn't have enough thing to win in scenario anymore. So attrition isn't relevant either because time. So if I was Tom, I would mockery back 3 more tough dids, put those in the zone, and have Goreshade walk behind that wall. Frankly.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I mean, it's the only way you lose is if he goes for the long bomb on Goreshade, right?
Yeah, no, that's literally it. Like Simon doesn't have any outs at this point. The 5 minutes 40 seconds he had left in his clock was actually before he realised he still had to activate the Long Riders.
I'll go get a current reading. 4 minutes and 59 seconds now.
Fly just went on the Lord Siren, so that would have been a very good way for him to remove the Lord Siren. And he failed to crack the Bane Knight's armour. So the 2 models that he had on fire didn't kill either.
That's up against it now. So it's Tom's got this on time now. I think going seconds in a 75-point game might be a legitimate strat purely from the point of fact that your opponent went first and unpacking their army first turn takes so much time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's assuming like if you both play at the exact same speed, the person who goes first should clock out first.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many models still left on the board. Like they've played a very cagey game. There's no doubt about that. But they're still making a lot of attacks. There's a lot of models left, and you just can't get through them all. So it's been a very well played game by Simon. I feel like the thing that hindered him was his deployment. By not having the Long Riders in the centre, it's limited his options in what he can do. But by being cagey, he needed to go for the scenario win a little bit earlier, I feel. But again,
This game had 30 minutes left in it. Simon would win.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But he doesn't.
no. And I feel Tom's played correctly for the clock here, knowing that Simon is going to use more time than him. Like he's making more attacks with the way Grissel works as well. The hoofers, the extra attacks. Goreshade's doing a lot of running.
Very time intensive, Grissel. Very time intensive.
Yeah, and Goreshade not so much. That's one of the beauties of Cricks. They run infantry spam, but the front rank charges, the rest of it runs. You might cast a couple of spells, and as long as you're quick and accurate with your positioning, and you can be accurate with practice, obviously, you can play it quickly. You can play it very quickly.
Tom is much more practiced with Cricks than Simon is with Trolls. Tom has been playing Cricks for literally as long as I've known him, and Simon only picked up Trolls 2014.
Exactly, and he hasn't been playing much for the last couple of months as well. I had the pleasure of playing Tom on 2 days ago on the Saturday, and very fast player. Like he gets through his turns at a rate of knots. I consider myself quite a fast player, and he was outpacing me probably about 2 minutes to 1.
The speed he plays a list like this is absolutely nothing on how quickly he can throw that Morton Eber list around the table. It's impressive.
That Morton Eber list, he is just rocket with. It's just bang, bang, bang. He takes like 2 minutes for his first turn, 3 minutes for his second turn. Like jacks are going in, and it's very interesting because like being able to look at all the overrun targets, do all that sort of stuff, and work out where you need to go while under the clock pressure and doing it quickly is a very important skill in War Machine.
My reckoning is that's just muscle memory. He's, that's what he's known for. Anyway, so back to this game. It looks like Tom has realised that his out is Goreshade dying, and rather than going for the wall, he's just backing up to the back end of a forest. That's fine too.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
The only thing that he can really get to him with is the gunshots from the Impaler and the Pyre are probably the main ones, and he's not going to be able to get within 12 inches of Goreshade to shoot those shots without also being in melee with something. So he's basically made himself safe from the range. Snipe with Impaler.
Of course he hasn't.
Yeah,
sorry. The fact of the matter is that you put him in a position now where you probably won't be able to see him anyway. Tom's recognised that the only way Simon wins this game now is assassination, and has removed that from the table after stationing one of the walls. Just to rub salt in the wound.
I feel like the Soul Hunters here will probably run to block off line of sight to Goreshade, and that removes that from the table entirely. So he's doing it by the numbers at this point.
Yeah, or you can jam the back line. I mean, it barely matters. It's elementary.
The only thing about the Soul Hunters is Daryl is not in a position that he can walk away to give them all incorporeal.
Sure.
He can't really get over to most of them. So there's only going to be one or two that really get to push deep.
Sure. But even then,
interesting.
Tying up the second line.
I feel like that Soul Hunter that just charged, was that not the one that was knocked down by the Harrower?
Yeah, it looks like the judges might be recognizing that. I'm not sure. It's maybe the harrower stopped just shy.
It might have just missed it. There was no token on the board, so maybe it didn't hit, or maybe they've forgotten. But as it looks like that Soul Hunter is charging and is in the zone. Yep. So once again, another piece in there that's going to make it hard for Simon to clear out.
Yep. Absolutely trust Rob Shepard here in his judgment. It looks like is there possibly some issue with Tom losing incorporeal due to the Keelstone halfway through a charge? Is that what's happening?
The fact that it's backing out the way it is, I feel that is what's happening.
Yeah. So did Tom just lose incorporeal halfway through his charge?
Absolutely did, yeah. So the charge has failed.
Looks like he's got two, so I think he's charging a pyre, it looks like. Maybe get some damage on him, but it's I think this is just all pretty.
It's elementary at this point.
Yeah, well, it barely matters. I don't think Simon has enough in the tank to pull it out, and just due to the way War Machine works, Warcasters can take a quick turn far more effectively than Hordecasters, Warlocks can.
Definitely. And also with the way that the buff stacking works in Trolls, as opposed to Kriegs Tom's got the Weapon Masters, so you don't need to. It's not as time intensive to get the charges off and the damage off where you need it.
Absolutely. I mean, so if you look at the kind of general maintenance, Simon's got like the Krillstone, his Fell Callers, all that stuff that he has to do first.
Let's not write Simon off just yet, because if Simon has a quick enough turn, it doesn't look like Tom's going to get many models in the zone. If Simon is quick enough, he could clear the zone and go to 3, maybe in 2 minutes.
The key one is the Warwitch Siren not dying to fire.
The Warwitch Siren not dying to fire is immense.
It's immense because he's also engaged the Pyre Troll, which is the one that you're going to try and scatter onto. I think she only has 1 health left as well.
I think, as we know from a conversation last night, Big Dano, 2 minutes is way more than enough for Simon Hall. So
it is indeed.
1 minute's all he needs, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute.
That's well, let's not talk about that. I'm sure there's probably. No, there's probably not children listening to this. If you let your children listen to Oz Machine, rock on. I support that style of parenting.
You're a liberal parents.
Exactly. You've got to be.
Definitely need to be. We've managed to keep it in check mostly for the recording, so exactly. Family friendly.
Yeah. We're doing okay. On one hand, right? So Simon insulted me last night. And insulted my troll list building, so I'm like, ha ha. Right? But I also want trolls to beat Kriegs because trolls are my home list. I love trolls.
Yeah, but let's be honest, trolls are always, I think, a little bit up against Kriegs. Yeah. You need to have those pieces like the Winter Troll, or for this match of the Winter Troll, in general, the Storm Troll. Certain things that you want versus trolls. The Witch.Croc Croc as well is a massive one. Being able to undead the Pig Burrowers so that Tartarus can't do what he did in this game, and making lots of Banes. There's certain things in there that's they play the game. P-Scar is obviously the hard one, but I mean Tom's played an extremely good game here. He's recognised what he needs to do each turn to basically keep Simon making attacks and keep him using his clock.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I feel like Simon had the potential to win this game if he played a little bit faster and gotten a little bit more work out of his truly high-value models. Maybe hadn't spent quite so much time wondering about what to do with his Fen Blades exactly and what to do with his Career Warriors, because at the end of the day, they're not what's going to win you the game.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you have the amount of time to devote to them as Simon actually did allocate to those models. It's just...
Yeah, and it's little things like early on needing to kill his own Fen Blades to clear the lane for the Krillstone to run up. Those are the sort of things that probably cost him like 3 or 4 minutes of working out how that was going to work. And little positioning errors like that often come back to bite you in the late game, in a close game like this.
Yep, you'd even take even 2 minutes now. That's 2 minutes makes this game much more manageable for Simon.
Definitely.
So yeah, and it's getting to the point now where his volume of attacks is rapidly going down. I mean, it's theoretically possible he could clear that zone. If he's smart, he can use Grissel Spray to get a lot of work done. Have Janissa use Tectonic Shift to get more models out of the zone, things like that.
That's a big one. Like Janissa spends so much of her game just putting up that wall, and then there's that one turn where she walks forward and Tectonic Shifts everything out of the zone. You're like, all right, that bitch has that as well.
Yeah, she can do that. She can totally do that. It's like a little mini Gorton. But I don't think he's really positioned according for it. This is one of the things. Oh no, wait, that's Grissel there. He may be able to get it done.
Tom Shipcroft with 9 minutes and 38 seconds left, and Simon has 4.5 minutes to win the game.
So key thing here is he needs to go fast. He needs to go very fast here. Deno, how many models does Simon have to clear out of the zone?
There's 2 Soul Hunters, 3 Bane Thralls, the Sirens, and I think maybe 1 Bane Knight.
So it's going to be hard. It is going to be hard to clear out all those models. Order of activation issue is probably the thing that's going to cost him a little bit here, because he needs to do this in a very specific order to get the attacks where he needs to, and that takes time.
It's, what I would be looking at here is his Power Troll can clear out those 2 Soul Hunters quite happily, especially if Grissel chips in or whatever. And the infantry models at the back of the zone. In fact, actually, I would use Grissel spray for the infantry models at the back of the zone. I think it's definitely possible he can clear this turn. He's just going to have to go incredibly quickly.
His first 2 attacks for the turn are 1-1 and followed by 1-1. So that is not what you need to see.
No, that's absolutely not what Simon wants. And the only thing he can do now is he cannot let that tilt him, and he has to just keep pushing through.
Yep. Which it looks like he's doing. At this point, he's just make the attacks, roll the dice, move on to the next thing, and just try and get it done.
Simon's just been killed. That's pretty big.
That's good.
Rolled an 8 to hit, and then managed to kill it with one of the waters.
Yep.
The key one is here, can he get the attacks onto the objective that he needs to kill it off?
Yeah, that's what's really important. It's gonna be tough. This is gonna be down to the wire, I think. But next turn, even if he gets it, he's gonna have to kill however many Bane Knights Tom can run in there. Anything Goreshade Mockeries and Darrow-Wrath.
Yep. Yeah, so if he's mockering, say, Soul Hunters back into block charge lanes.
He's just scored on the outside flag and can probably ship clock 5 times, and it might be difficult for him to stop that from happening.
Wow, that's a massive development. If he can kill the objective and clear the zone this turn, that puts him onto 3, and then you just ship and jam and ship and jam.
So, counterpoint. If I'm Tommy G, I'm looking at killing your battle group. I'd be worried. I would be worried because I'm fairly. I don't know. I know that Power Troll's been on the front for a while, so surely it's a little beat up.
Simon's got 2 minutes and 37 seconds. What he needs to do is stop making attacks and try and score 5 turns on his zone. That's all he can do.
He has to kill the objective. I think you make the attacks on the objective that you can.
He buys him a turn by scoring a control.
And you basically stop. Well, even still, he can probably get those next turn. He's gotten the objective, so he's going to be on 2 control points. I feel like it's probably the right call to do this because he's not going to be able to get the turn.
He's just scored 2 points and activated the turn with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. The stone for knowing corporeal means the Soul Hunters can't rush to stop him from scoring. He might have just pulled this out of the fire.
That is a absolutely magic play there. By running to that far flank, Tom has extremely few models on there. And the other thing that he's done here is it's forcing Tom to think about how he's going to do this. And Tom's only got 9 minutes left himself. So it's a very good play. And it's recognizing that you can't clear the zone and then running to the far flank. Extremely strong move.
That's how I won my game actually against one of the many Frawleys at this place.
There's about 17 Frawleys. They all look the same.
Simon is going to go to 3 points at the end of Tom Guan's turn, then go to 4 after he activates, and if he just puts everything around the flag with the stone at the back, Tom cannot stop him from winning this game.
Is Tom in position to kill the Krillstone?
He can't get to it. He can't get to
The one thing I can see here is potentially if Darrow runs, will he get within 4? I suppose
there's going to be 3 free strikes from Waters if Darrow runs.
If Goreshade feats, then Darrow runs, I guess.
What is he feeding?
One of the Bane Knights.
See, and the thing is here, by looking at the table, Tom does have options, but he needs to spend time thinking about it, and he only had 9 minutes himself.
Yeah, it's entirely possible though that Tom will go for a counterplay, just go absolutely ham hock into this zone with all the weapon masters. So Simon hasn't done much to mitigate this.
Go down from 5.
Rough. But Simon hasn't done very much to mitigate the weapon masters in the zone. If Tom goes ham hock, he can maybe just pull it back to the point of even then that's so rough. He would literally need to clear the zone, and if he can do that, he's already won.
Goreshade has just run to stop this game from dying, because if he stands on his own flag, he's going to get killed.
That's interesting.
It's a good thing is it's a great move from Simon, because what was just I'm going to time you out. Now Tom really has to play the game and find out what can I do here. It's putting him under much pressure.
Here's the thing: if Simon camps 6 transfers, Goreshade can't kill her.
You've got to be careful there.
Because the thing is, he's got so many weapon masters that can get into his battle group, and that's the key.
Yeah, I at this point, if I was Tom, and it looks like this is what he's doing, he's going for the battle group.
Yeah, and that's the right play.
Yeah, if you go for the battle group, it's you've got to bear in mind transfers aren't just you're nullifying damage. Originally,
So as Grissel's playing now, pitch is going to be 3 points. He's going to dominate the central zone. He's got to clear the central zone and run into the zone to dominate. That's his only way to win the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
So the thing is, in doing so, Tom needs to put as many models in there as possible.
Everything he can. Simon's just going to run out of attacks.
One of the things here that could be potentially massive is if he can line it up. Oh, no, the long riders won't be able to get there. I was thinking if the long riders could get a slam off over all the single base models or the small base models.
All of them in one.
How do the long riders get clear of those veins, though?
Well, that's the thing. I was looking at. I don't think they do.
Doesn't Tom run those guys into the zone? Like, isn't that what he has to
I think
do?
you leave one behind for each long rider, surely.
I think that has to happen.
Zone, that's big.
That is big.
Yeah. I think at this point you should really
Go for an engage on the
Taylor.
So, the thing about Goreshade though, can't Simon just run 3 Fieldstone guys in front of Goreshade and stop the charge and stop him from doing that?
Yes, he can.
Yeah,
and he's got no attacks over that side to clear him.
I think that's the right play. That the thing is, the Grillstone is the thing that's stopping them from running to the flag from that side.
If Goreshade has line of sight, he can charge clean through that building.
He doesn't. He's putting out wide. He's putting out wide.
He's past the building on the very edge of the table, and you can
Speak up.
I'm not speaking into the microphone part. I'm speaking into the side part.
Vintage plays.
Herp-a-derp. Yeah, I think if Simon runs 3 Creelstone guys in front of Goreshade, so he can't get line of sight, he can't do a ride-by attack to get to it because he's too far away. He would have to charge. It's not gonna happen. Like, he's not gonna be able to get there with enough volume of attacks. So he probably is gonna win if he's quick enough.
It all depends on how much you can clear out of the zone and whether. If the Creelstone then runs off the side to block up Goreshade...
No, but the Creelstone can move into the zone to stop the Soul Hunters. It doesn't have to be anywhere near the rest of the unit because all they're doing is jamming.
Yeah, that's true. But you also need to have quite a few of those guys straddling the edge of the zone to stop them running to contest the flag. Like, just the single win models that are in there. But great play from Simon because it's really put him on tilt here. And I not meant on tilt, but it's put him to a position where he needs to go for this.
Oh man, this is going to be really down to the wire.
Great finish.
I think this is actually quite close to Tom.
This is a great finish.
Yeah, I think we definitely chose the right game to do commentary on.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yeah, good call.
Tom has 5 minutes exactly left on his clock, so he doesn't actually have a huge amount of time left himself, and he's having to be very precise with where he's going here, making attacks, making sure he can contest the zone enough. He's really putting him a lot of time pressure, and this is where Tom having so many more models left than Simon is kind of come back to hurt him.
I think if there's a Cricks player that can play quickly, it's Tom Guan. He's an incredibly fast player.
And Trent Dennison.
Sure.
Has never clocked out the big fella.
Never clocked out of the game. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Just throw that in there.
This is... Oh man.
Time's been shipped. This has got to go. Let's see what happens.
Oh, this is going to be so down to the wire. Yeah, let's have a look.
Right, so we're moving in here.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the table.
Get some close in action.
It looks like Simon's making attacks. Let's... okay, sure. Okay, so he's in a position, he has to move Grissel away from Goreshade, or she'll die.
No, well, the thing is, what Deno was saying is if you run the Creelstone and send 2 guys out to base Goreshade, he can't actually charge Grissel. You can potentially ride by attack. If you get 3 guys, so you get pin him in with 3 Creelstone guys, and then have the rest of the Creelstone on the edge of the zone, basically stopping anything from being able to run to where the flag is.
Exactly.
And I feel like he's recognised that. We should probably walk away from the table a little bit in case they can hear what we're saying.
What I would be worried about is he's got to be very careful. Like I said, Goreshade can move through the building. He does have Ghostly. But Simon, there we go. Simon's double layering it. Looks like he can probably stop Goreshade from effectively getting to Grissel.
And he's run a water over there, so just another thing that can stop that there. So he's definitely played that well there. He needs to be very cognizant of not allowing anything to get within 4 inches of the flag running from the central zone across there, because he's not going to have enough time to clear it. His play here is pretty much he needs to stop anything from getting there, and the only thing that I feel like they're going to get there is you might get one Soul Hunter getting there. She's probably going to get like maybe a Rift and her spray are the only things that she can get that will kill stuff while she can still stay on the flag. And at this stage he's probably only got a minute and a half. He's going through. He's activated every model in the army and said
with 30 seconds left, and Tom cannot get a model to get to the flag.
It's an incredible finish here.
What a great!
This is an incredible finish. He has pulled this out of the bag It's magical stuff. Simon Hall, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nipples himself.
Yeah.
Regardless of how this game finished, he has given himself a massive record because this is a huge finish. This is a huge finish. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all come down to the last 2 minutes. What can Tommy G do?
This is what War Machine's about.
This is what Final Table War Machine is about, and we're only in the semi-finals.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's one of those things, like compared to the Masters finals, this is stellar.
Yeah, this is great, man. Like, for 75 points, for the amount of stuff that's on the board, to come down to a late play with 5 minutes left where you run your caster to the outside of flag and Operation Jam shit the fuck down happens, it's just, you wouldn't expect it. It's a great finish.
Oh, so it looks like...
magic. Just magic.
Looks like Dara here is going for the Beyond Death onto Goreshade.
Okay.
To try and get him to move.
Oh, so he's shipping time, making free strikes. I'm not sure if you dismount Dara on the turn. If you dismount a model during their activation immediately ends.
That's fine though. He's already their activation ends.
The activation ends immediately if you dismount a model.
He didn't dismount him, so we're good.
So it's one of those things where if you can take a free strike there, it's worth making that free strike, even though there's very little time left on his clock, because if you dismount him, Dara's not getting beyond death, and that locks Goreshade down.
Oh wait, it looks like he just got dismounted.
He has dismounted him. Now it'll be interesting to know if Rob picks up on this interaction. It's not one of the most well-known things. It looks like they're discussing this as to what happens now. Dara has not moved any further, so I think they have picked up on that, and it looks like his activation has ended. Now Goreshade is going for the walk around all the models. Yep. So it's 2. 4. He's moving up 4. 6.
He's not going to make it.
7, 8. He's going for the Siphon Bot Assassination. It's the only thing he has left. He has not gotten into melee range.
Oh, so Grissel didn't put up Cacophony.
Looks like she did not put up Cacophony.
Oh, but he missed the Siphon Bolt. Oh, he hit.
He hit. He rolled a 1 for damage. He's going for the next one, and he's shaking his head. That is an amazing finish, ladies and gentlemen. The room erupts. That is one of the best finishes to a game of War Machine you will ever see.
That was fantastic. Really well played by both of those guys.
Unbelievable finish.
Fantastic.
One of the greatest finishes you will ever see.
Simon Hall, the Nipception, has just played out of his fucking skin to win the almost unwinnable game.
He had 5 minutes left on his clock when he made the play to run to the outside flag, and from that point on made every correct play to stop Tommy G from getting in there. One of the best finishes you will ever see.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is on film. I cannot believe we got that game.
We got that. We've been talking about that. We thought he was done in the water, and he has pulled something out of the bag, and that is champagne War Machine.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's why you never give him War Machine. You can always fight to the death, whether it's an assassination, whether it's a late scenario win. There's always ways out. I take my hat off to him, to a well-played game, to both players.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well done. Well done.
Good
I need to go congratulate him.
Yeah, okay, sweet. All right, then. So, I guess I'll get the big man back to wrap us up. Dano, you want to wrap this up?
Thank you, everyone, for following this commentary track. We appreciate it. What a great finish.
Yeah.